eastbound vehicles with them are 40% less likely to get into rear-end crashes. Two 71-year-old men trying to sail from Maine to the Netherlands have had to be rescued 9 times. Coast Guard officials say these guys are costing us a fortune, and they wish that you would stay the heck out of their waters. This is ABC News.
ABC Radio presents Made in America with David Muir, brought to you by Advance Auto Parts.
It's the blue and yellow can, a household staple made right here in America. WD-40.
Everybody has a can in their house.
Orlando Moreno at WD-40 headquarters in San Diego. The secret formula, nearly the same since it 60 years ago.
It's a special thing.
CEO Gary Ridge, business doubling in the last 176 countries. This is World News Tonight's David Muir. That's Made in America.
There's a reason why so many celebrities use Proactive. Their faces are their money. And it's time for you to get it because Proactive has set up a special 800 number. For just $19.95, you'll get Proactive and a rotating deep cleansing brush. A $45 value, yours free. For only $19.95, you're guaranteed to get clear and stay clear or your money back. Here's the number, 1-800-644-5944. Call now for a lifetime of beautiful skin. 1-800-644-5944.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. A 17-year-old North Mason High School student was arrested on a charge of second-degree rape of a 14-year-old girl in the school parking lot. The alleged incident occurred during the high school's lunch hour late last Thursday, and authorities say the girl was told not to tell anyone. She did report it to a student counselor at the school immediately afterward, and the counselor called 911. The accused teen made an initial appearance yesterday afternoon in Mason County Superior Court and faces arraignment on the charges at a later date. The incident remains under investigation. The city's Director of Community and Economic Development proposed reductions to the Shelton City Commission after Mayor Gary Krantz requested them to spur economic development in the city. Steve Goins proposed a 30% reduction in building fees and a 55% reduction in water and sewer charges and traffic impact fees for new homes. While Commissioner Tracy Moore expressed concerns, both the mayor and Commissioner Kathy McDowell agreed to try the fee reduction stimulus for a year. The Mason County's point-in-time homeless count takes place today. Tammy Newton, Human Services Coordinator for Mason County, said they will fan out around the county to conduct the count. She says volunteer counters will cover 21 known homeless camps around the county as part of the effort to get an accurate count. Results are expected to be released in 2 weeks. The county is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to conduct the count. During Port of Call on Daybreak, Dick Taylor and John Dobson talked about how different the waterfront could look in the future with walking trails, viewpoints, and a walking connection from the marina to downtown Shelton.
The city is working on a park and ride, which is on the west side of the trestle. So as you make the right turn by Lumberman's to go out underneath the trestle, just before you get to the trestle, that pear orchard is going to be turned into a park and ride.
Already is a park and ride.
With restroom facilities there. And then they have a trail that does lead right over to the marina. So just as they cross underneath the railroad trestle, then that becomes our responsibility from that point on. And we have some conceptual ideas about running that trail out on over some of the new fill. That'll be part of the seagrass that's coming in, so people get a better chance to get out and see nature, and then that'll work its way right back over to the marina. So I think there's a nice natural connection there, and then of course the city will continue their trail back over to Front Street and then down Front.
The restoration plan is expected to take 3 to 5 years to complete. Learn more about the deconstruction of some buildings on Johns Prairie in the full interview on the Daybreak page at iFIBER1Newsradio.com. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
It's about your
accident. So this is your year to win. You gonna get out of debt? You don't save your marriage by accident. You don't increase the quality of your marriage by accident. You don't raise great kids accidentally. These are intentional acts that you make choices on the variables in your environment and you form and control your life.
The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER One News Radio. I'm attorney Harold Carr. During the past 25 years, more than 8,000 people have trusted me to handle their personal injury cases. I understand how an injury can disrupt your life and cause financial hardship for you and your family. At the law firm of Harold Carr, we have 5 attorneys and 19 staff members experienced with negotiating and litigating with insurance companies. So if you feel the insurance company is not dealing with you fairly, call me, Harold Carr. Let us deal with the insurance company so you won't have to.
Car accident? Call Carr or visit us online at haroldcarrattorney.com.
Well, good Thursday morning. I'm Jeff Slakey along. Checking the sports in a second, but right now it was rainy on my way in.
Oh, it was so
Your
rainy.
way in, I think, too.
Rainy, and it's warm. It's 53.
But it is. How much rain are we looking at today, you think?
Let's see. We are going to be looking at
half an inch or so. Oh, my God.
Yeah, only half an inch. That seems
I thought
weird.
that we were supposed to have more than that. 2 inches. Maybe that was overnight.
That was yesterday.
It was so wet yesterday.
But yeah, it's just raining. Very, very rainy. So drive carefully.
It was raining buckets last night at the Mini Dome.
Yeah.
Freshman Timberware scored 8 points in the first 2 minutes of play as Shelton knocked off Mount Tahoma 37-35. T-Birds had a 6-point lead late in the second quarter until senior Vanessa Kennedy stepped up big for the high climbers, hitting back-to-back threes. Swish, swish, tying the game at 22 at the half. Back and forth contest the rest of the way, but Shelton relied on steady defense to close out the victory. It was a big win for Shelton, picking up a game in the conference standings. High climber head coach Aaron Leff knows it's going to be tough in the final stretch for his team, but he believes they can pull together and do what it takes to make the playoffs.
Boy, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a rat race after this week. You know, we're tied right now with North Thurston. We're a game back from Mount Tahoma, even though we beat them twice, and I think we're 2 games back from Capital. All the teams that we play still have Lincoln and Wilson to play, and so we know they're going to probably pick up some losses there, but we just got to do our job. We got to go out, play the best we can against Lincoln. We played pretty tough against them at home. If we can do that, maybe we get a couple extra buckets to fall, a little less turnovers, and we're right in the game.
Watch that interview with Coach Leff here on our YouTube channel at iFIBER1Newsradio.com. Thank you to Sean Wells and Terry Allen for being at the game last night, providing the coverage for us. Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson has been selected with the first pick in the Pro Bowl draft. You were probably watching the Pro Bowl draft last night. It's one of the most important events in sports.
Who wasn't watching it?
I don't think Russell was. Wilson was chosen by Michael Irvin, who is serving as the Pro Bowl legend captain opposite fellow Hall of Famer Jerry Rice. Rice took New York Giants quarterback Eli Manning with the first pick, second overall in the draft. The Pro Bowl will be played Sunday at Aloha Stadium down in Hawaii. Both of these quarterbacks could make it, because they're not going to be needing to practice for the Super Bowl.
What do you mean they couldn't make it?
No, they could make it.
Oh, yeah. But Wilson was watching the Pro Bowl because he tweeted, or the deal.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, he tweeted. He tweeted out, and if I can.
So excited, happy to be with Michael Irving.
No, he tweeted, number 1 pick overall, finally. I guess short guys do win after all.
Ah, that's funny.
No more heel lifts.
Hashtag no more heel lifts. That's funny.
Mm-hmm.
Gonzaga basketball tonight on the radio versus Santa Clara pregame at 5:40. Tomorrow night on iFIBER1Newsradio.com, another video cast of Shelton basketball. Boys this time from the Mini Dome, right around 7 o'clock. More Gonzaga basketball Saturday versus San Francisco. Looking at the scoreboard, Carroll High School boys basketball, Lincoln over Capital, Bellarmine Prep over Timberline, and Olympia over Gig Harbor. In high school girls basketball, Lincoln over Capital as well. North Thurston over Foss, and Gig Harbor over Olympia. Sean Wells is going to be here during the 8:30 news talking about this week in sports and which league the high climbers could find themselves in for the next 4 years and what that means. But now we got to move back over to Carol for a weather forecast.
Oh, we got to move to me. It's 53, rain this morning, diminishing.
If it was sunny, I'd be happy to throw it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying rain. But, okay, rain this morning, diminishing to a few showers this evening. And tomorrow, it will sort of be the same with rain early and then cloudy with showers. But Saturday, we should see some sun in the middle of all the clouds.
What I need you to do is find out what it's going to be Saturday, February 6th. I don't think does your 10-day go that far? What are we looking?
But what I want to know is what the water temperature is.
Don't worry about that.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Good Thursday morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER One. We got some great guests coming up today as we focus on Shelton, and also tax time is upon us. Mike Wittenberg, CPA, will be here to give us some information about the tax season that is. I think already people are starting to fill out their stuff. There's been some changes, so we'll wait.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
I'm Steve Weissman with NFL Network now on the Westwood One Radio Network. The Hawaiian Islands feature Diamond Head, Pearl Harbor, and this week, the NFL's top gems. 4 captains were named last week to help Hall of Famers Michael Irvin and Jerry Rice draft their Pro Bowl rosters on Wednesday. And with the first pick, Team Irvin went with Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson and passed for more than 4,000 yards. With his first pick, Jerry Rice took another quarterback, the Giants' Eli Manning. Eli finished the season with 35 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and passed for nearly 4,500 yards. On Monday, Super Bowl week kicks off with a star-studded party. Live and in primetime on NFL Network, you can join host Rich Eisen as we get you ready for the biggest week of the year. Super Bowl opening night, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern on NFL Network. This has been NFL Network Now on the Westwood One Radio Network.
Control, do you like mortgages? Negative, over. Do you like rockets? Affirmative, over. Do you like rocket mortgages? I'm listening, over. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that turns the entire mortgage process into a fast, powerful, completely online experience. Copy that, QL1. I'm going to go ahead and push this button in 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLS Consumer Access.org number 33. Geico presents Kathy, the Candid Realtor.
Through this door, you've got your guest bathroom. And the mosaic tile you see on the floor is original to the house. In shape, your friend Split will slip right off it when he gets out of the shower and land him in a sling for 6 weeks.
It's hard to know all that comes with renting a home or apartment. That's why the Geico Insurance Agency makes getting covered for accidents and personal property loss quick and easy. Visit geico.com and see how affordable renter's insurance can be.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, AMAS.
Well, good Thursday to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER One. Before we get to the latest headlines on the website, iFIBER1newsradio.com, Carol has a new tweet out from the DOT talking about some traffic.
Yeah, there's been a mudslide on both directions of US 12 near Porter Creek at milepost 27, and the roadway is closed in both directions.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye and see what's happening. That's the latest. That happened about 30 minutes ago, but they haven't had any new information yet.
What does that mean? 7 miles EO Elma, probably east outside Elma? 7 miles east outside of Elma?
That's what it looks like.
Okay, so that's where that...
Oh, okay, so it says DOT needs daylight to assess the stability. So this will probably not open until...
probably 2 hours from now.
7:53, yeah.
Wow, thank you very much. All right, back to the website here under the local news tab. Yesterday afternoon, Jeff Chu reporting on a North Mason student, 17, arrested in the rape of a girl, 14. It is on the website. A tough story this morning for all of us listening in and following along here. You can read more information about that, including some comments by Sheriff Chief Criminal Deputy Ryan Sperling, and also the North Mason School District Superintendent Dana Rosenbach. So that's what's going on there. Also, it's going to be a wet one for many folks as they head into the wilds. Is that right today?
Well, the Mason County's homeless count is starting this morning. Tammy Newton, the Human Resources Coordinator for Mason County, trained the volunteers, and she said they're going to fan out around the county to conduct the count this morning. And they're going to be covering about 21 known homeless camps around the county to try to get an accurate count and see who's homeless. I mean, it's a hard thing to do because people move, they don't always stay in the same spot. But if they can get to as much people today, they hope to have the results in about 2 weeks.
Okay. So that being said, if anyone is listening in one of the camps right now, people will be out and they're there for good.
Yeah, they're for good.
So welcome them. And I think, and I don't know if this has to do with the veterans or just the homeless, but you remember when Bud Blakeman was in here and Tom Davis and Tammy Newton as well, and they said that they want to have a vet to go with them because, like, if I were to walk out there, my gait is not someone who is familiar, perhaps, but a military person all kind of move in the same general flow, and people can key in on that quickly.
Right. They do get training on how you go about it. You just don't walk up and...
No, I mean, I'm like, hey, everybody, Jeff from the morning show.
But we'll get Tammy on in a couple weeks and see what the results were, see how it went.
Also, Mark E. Reed has some scholarships for the deadline is going to be, is it really a leap year this year?
Yeah.
Wow. Next month is a leap month.
Yeah.
Do you have any friends that have birthdays on the 29th?
You?
No, but I don't have friends. They have, you see it on the internet all the time. People who are like 40 or actually 10 or something like that. That's pretty funny.
Quite.
Officials from Green Diamond Resource Company's Mark E. Reed Scholarship Washington Board announced recently that scholarship applications are now being accepted from high school and undergraduate college students for the next school year, 2016-2017. This year, 10 $3,000 scholarships will be awarded. This is an increase of 2 scholarships, recognizing the increasing costs of higher ed and the number of quality students to choose from. That story comes our way via a Green Diamond news release, and it is under the local news tab. Regional stories, Carol?
Yeah, we have a great regional story. 9 community and technical colleges in Washington have been named among the nation's top 150 community colleges by a prestigious Aspen Institute and are eligible to compete for a $1 million prize.
Wow. What are the schools? Anyone around here?
Yeah, so there's one in Vancouver, Everett, Highline College, Olympic College in Bremerton.
Wow.
Which is always great. The Olympic College, they get a lot of awards and notoriety, I guess. Not notoriety, whatever. You know, publicity, yeah. And South Puget Sound Community College. So
just right
a couple of local colleges that somebody's an alumni of one of those.
I'm even wearing my blue and white. Those are Clipper colors.
Oh, is that the SPSCC or I could never remember that. SPSCC.
It's just the first letter of each of them.
I know, but such a long mouthful.
So when state gives Ride the Ducks conditional safety rating as well, state transportation officials have upgraded the Ride the Ducks amphibious vehicles from unsatisfactory to a, quote, conditional safety rating. The Washington Utilities and Transportation Commission decided on Wednesday the tour company may continue to operate if they keep passing safety inspections. They also approved the company's safety plan.
And remember that story about, how can you forget about DLC releasing all those inmates early?
Yes.
And all that jazz. Well, they did settle with a woman that was beaten by a released inmate too early. So they agreed to pay more than $1 million in connection with the beating of a woman by an inmate who was released in September 2012. She had, basically what they said was they didn't supervise Reed as they should have, and basically he should have never been let out so early. So
this is what, probably the third personal like individual story off of this? Do you think
that we know
that
of.
we've heard?
Yeah, there's probably a lot more that we just don't even know about.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Why are we not hearing more and more about some of maybe the more high-profile offenders who were let out? There was that one story about the guy who got out early and then took control of his life and did good things, and now has to go back into jail.
Right.
Probably he has to, because it's, you do the time, you do the crime. But then all these other ones, there was another one where a person gets killed, I think, and then this one was a woman was beaten.
Yeah.
But that's only 3 that I can think of the 10,000 or so people. Where are they, the rest of them?
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the courts were supposed to be receiving something or other to go out and get these people. So I don't know exactly.
Well, and wait a second. So even if you're released, I believe you still would have to be assigned a PO, parole officer,
right,
to continue on your adjudication, even if you did all the time or did not do all the time. So where's the PO that was assigned to these people?
I know, but to me, a parole officer, unless you're following them 24/7.
No, I know that they are well overworked.
Yeah, but I mean, how do you know? I mean, it's difficult. I mean, they don't wear ankle bracelets or anything?
No,
so
but you would think there would be some sort of, there's not 1,000 people per PO being released every day where they have a backlog of checking in.
Right, but so you check in and then you go out and you kill somebody and then you know.
But at least you've checked in and the parole officer knows that you're out. And
well, they do know. They did have somebody supervising this guy. They had a parole officer.
Ugh.
So I mean, and this
is a whole nother layer of this.
I know. It's yeah. So it's an interesting thing. We talk about trying to rehab people in prison. What are the things that they do after they get out of prison? There are some places that you can go, but probably not enough. That's why people reoffend, so they can get back to their normal lifestyle.
Well, it's like sober living after you go to treatment for 90 days. If you're just going to be thrown back out into the world 90 days after a treatment program, then you are doomed for failure. But if you move into a transitional sober living house, it helps you build more steps and more steps.
Yeah, so that's something else, I suppose, that we all need to. There's so much to do in this world, Jeff.
There is, Carol. We have very little time, and now we can't even celebrate the birth of our nation in Marysville.
No.
Jerks. Marysville City Council decided 2016 will be the last year of fireworks. Daily Herald of Everett reporting that the council on Monday passed an ordinance that would ban possession, sale, or use of fireworks within the city beginning in January of 2017. Lacey's been doing this for a few years now. Shelton, this is the second year, I think. I don't see any problem with it.
No, I don't see a problem. I mean, they want you to go out and watch the big show. The big show of fireworks.
Yeah. And that's fun, too, when you go to a big show and there's more people around. Man, I have close calls when I was a kid with those Mighty Mites.
Yeah.
Lighting them with them in my hand and then trying to flick them before the fuse goes. Thankfully, I still have all 10 digits.
Yes.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
You answered all your emails by noon. Get a freshly prepared Egg McMuffin. Actually left work on time? Then get yourself a savory sausage McMuffin with egg. You saw the weirdest midnight movie. Well, get a delicious sausage burrito. With McDonald's all-day breakfast menu, you can get delectable breakfast tastes anytime. Egg McMuffin, hotcakes and sausage and more. It's time to start enjoying the breakfast you love whenever you want. Just listen to a radio commercial? Get some golden hash browns. McDonald's all-day breakfast menu varies by location.
This love letter's for my sweet beauty. Your scent drives me all sorts of cray. Every time you touch my lips, ooh, how it makes my day. Rich, smooth, fresh, and steamy. Dang, you're a dream. So let me give you some sugar, and then perhaps some cream. There's no denying your love for a rich, smooth, fresh brewed McCafe. And now, get any size for just $1. A la carte only. Prices and participation may vary. Limited time offer.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Jeff and Carol on the air this morning after a rainy night.
Very rainy night and very rainy morning.
It was pretty rainy this morning.
And I always like to leave a little early because, there's so much water on the road. I was just sort of whooshing.
You know, one of the worst parts is when you're coming back from Shelton to Olympia and you're just passing the Little Creek Casino and you're going up that hill.
Yeah.
If you're in the fast lane, the left-hand lane.
Oh, yeah.
Some of those.
Well, down the hill, also just right, so over the bridge, that usually has a lot of water.
Coming in at 7:45 this morning to talk about some of the new provisions in the law. Last year, Congress finally passed tax legislation named the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2016, which contains good news for just about everyone. So we'll talk with Mike Wittenberg, CPA, about that. Yesterday, I had the pleasure and opportunity to go talk just briefly, like mere minutes, blink and you would have missed it, at the North Mason Chamber Luncheon yesterday at the Theller Center. First, the Theller Center, beautiful. And then all the wetlands behind it that you can go gather around. So Kat B and Jeff Chu and Ryan from the team, all of us made our way up there. And first off, delicious food. Thank you for providing. I think they said the place was called Chipmunks and that we had fish tacos.
Oh.
Pretty good. And so anyways, the program, after we get up and everybody kind of meets and greets, was with Ryan Sperling, who is the chief deputy up there in the north part of the county and does the North Precinct. And he had a little video on active shooter training. And, it really is not something that people like to think about.
No.
But it's very similar to fire drills. You do a fire drill as a kid a gazillion times, throughout your school year. So you know what you're supposed to do. And then you don't really, it's kind of secondhand. It's kind of by rote.
Muscle memory.
Muscle memory, I think, is probably what people say. And so this video was a bit disturbing, but it just brings up the point that you have to be aware and you have to have a plan. It's just like when the big earthquake's going to come. You got to have a plan.
How's that plan going?
It's going great. I'm going to... falls on. That's why I was saying that it's important to have these plans to know, like, well, okay, if somebody comes in the front door, what are we going to do? And I thought that it was interesting.
Oh, is it locked?
It better be. One of the things that they talked about that I didn't even think of was the use of defensive weapons like a fire extinguisher.
You didn't think about that?
No. And that's why you do these things, and it's so great. That's not something, if I'm sitting here cowering, hearing gunplay, I'm not going to automatically go, wow, wait, I'm going to go get the fire extinguisher and blow it in their face.
Well, I would.
Because then they can't even see anything, and then you hit them with it, and you're out the door.
Yeah.
So fire extinguisher.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Know where they are.
I know where they are.
So do I.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. A 17-year-old North Mason High School student was arrested on a charge of second-degree rape of a 14-year-old girl in the school parking lot. The alleged incident occurred during the high school's lunch hour late last Thursday, and authorities say the girl was told not to tell anyone. She did report it to a student counselor at the school immediately afterward, and the counselor called 911. The accused teen made an initial appearance yesterday afternoon in Mason County Superior Court and faces arraignment on the charges at a later date. The incident remains under investigation. The city's Director of Community and Economic Development proposed reductions to the Shelton City Commission after Mayor Gary Krantz requested them to spur economic development in the city. Steve Goins proposed a 30% reduction in building fees and a 55% reduction in water and sewer charges and traffic impact fees for new homes. While Commissioner Tracy Moore expressed concerns, both the mayor and Commissioner Kathy McDowell agreed to try the fee reduction stimulus for a year. The Mason County's point-in-time homeless count takes place today. Tammy Newton, Human Services Coordinator for Mason County, said they will fan out around the county to conduct the count. She says volunteer counters will cover 21 known homeless camps around the county as part of the effort to get an accurate count. Results are expected to be released in 2 weeks. The county is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to conduct the count. During Port of Call on Daybreak, Dick Taylor and John Dobson talked about how different the waterfront could look in the future with walking trails, viewpoints, and a walking connection from the marina to downtown Shelton.
The city is working on a park and ride, which is on the west side of the trestle. So as you make the right turn by Lumberman's to go out underneath the trestle, just before you get to the trestle, that pear orchard is going to be turned into a park and ride.
It already is a park and ride.
With restroom facilities there. And then they have a trail that does lead right over to the marina. So just as they cross underneath the railroad trestle, then that becomes our responsibility from that point on. And we have some conceptual ideas about running that trail out on over some of the new fill. That'll be part of the seagrass that's coming in, so people get a better chance to get out and see nature, and then that'll work its way right back over to the marina. So I think there's a nice natural connection there, and then of course the city will continue their trail back over to Front Street and then down Front.
The restoration plan is expected to take 3 to 5 years to complete. Learn more about the deconstruction of some buildings on Johns Prairie in the full interview on the Daybreak page at iFIBER1newsradio.com. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Snow melts. Rain falls. Rivers form. This happens all over the world, but when it happens here, something wonderful unfolds. A renewable source of energy, created without releasing even an ounce of CO2 into the Earth's atmosphere.
Mason PUD 3, clean, renewable, and reliable energy every day.
Spurs, Warriors, and Clippers win. Serena's in the Aussie Finals. Hi, everybody. Tonnet reporting on sports. After Monday's 30-point embarrassment in Golden State, San Antonio made easy work of the Rockets.
Parker left wing against Beverly. Screen by Leonard. Driving inside. Teardrop. Parker off the back of the rim. No good. Hollow slam. LaMarcus Aldridge.
On WOAI, Spurs rout Houston 130-99. Speaking of the Warriors,
Klay Thompson, deep three, left wing. Why not? And Steve Kerr immediately gets up off the bench and says, okay, Klay's night is done.
on KNBR, Klay Thompson, 45 points in Golden State's 127-107 win over Dallas, improving to 42-4. The Cavs improved to 2-1 under new coach Tyronn Lue.
4-on-1 for the Cavs goes to Smith. Alley-oop to LeBron, and LeBron hammers it home with authority.
On WTAM, after spending part of Wednesday denying that he was a coach killer, LeBron James scored 21 points, 9 assists in just 31 minutes in the Cavaliers' 115-93 rout of the Suns. Kevin Durant scored 27 in another Thunder win.
Retreats, dances, crossover, pulls up, fires, angle right three is on the way. Cha-ching, a Thunder money ball. KD authors the tray.
On WWLS, Russell Westbrook added 24 in Oklahoma City's 126-123 victory over Minnesota. Beginning another quest for a calendar Grand Slam, top seed Serena Williams advanced to the finals of the Australian Open after taking out Aggie Radwanska 11-4 in the semis.
I'm really excited to be in another final, so it just kind of blows my mind right now. It's physically I'm feeling a lot better. Mentally, I needed that break after the Open.
Serena will face 7th seed Angelique Kerber of Germany on Saturday. Top 20, the Razorbacks gig the Aggies.
2 seconds, hope for the tie. No! Down goes number 5.
On ESPN, Arkansas picks off number 5 Texas A&M 74-71. NHL, the only way to believe it is to see it on video. It was clear as day. Flames defenseman Dennis Weidman cross-checked linesman Don Henderson from behind, sending him to the ice. After the game, Weidman said he didn't intentionally hit Henderson. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
Science Fantastic with Professor Michio Kaku. Saturdays at 5, Sundays at 6 on iFIBER One News Radio.
Because of the fact there's been a revolution in paleontology with regards to how we view the dinosaurs. When I was a kid, we learned the dinosaurs were cold-blooded, lumbering creatures, kind of dim-witted. They didn't nurture their young, and that's why they went extinct. They were simply too stupid. Well, now we realize that we were pretty much wrong in how we view dinosaurs.
All right, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Jeff and Carol checking on sports here in a second. First, though, quickly, Carol, what's going on in the weather world right now?
It is raining and it's 53. And down in Grace Harbor, there's been a landslide. All lanes of US 12 at Porter are closed due to the landslide, and they need daylight to assess the situation.
Okay, so find that information as well on our Facebook page. Freshman Timber Ware scored 8 points in the first 2 minutes of play as Shelton knocked off Mount Tahoma last night, 37-35. The T-Birds had a 6-point lead late in the second quarter until senior Vanessa Kennedy stepped up big for the High Climbers, hitting back-to-back trays and tying the game at 22 at the half. Back and forth contest the rest of the way. Shelton relied on steady defense to close out the victory. It was a big win for Shelton, picking up a game in the conference standings. High Climbers head coach Aaron Leth knows it's going to be tough final stretch for his team, but he believes they can pull together and do what it takes to make the playoffs.
Boy, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a rat race after this week. You know, we're tied right now with North Thurston. We're a game back from Mount Tahoma, even though we beat them twice, and I think we're 2 games back from Capital. All the teams that we play still have Lincoln and Wilson to play, and so we know they're going to probably pick up some losses there, but we just got to do our job. We got to go out, to play the best we can against Lincoln. We played pretty tough against them at home. If we can do that, maybe we get a couple extra buckets to fall, a little less turnovers, and we're right in the game.
Thank you, Coach Leth and Sean Wells and Terry Allen were at the game last night and providing us with the video cast coverage of the game. That'll happen again tomorrow night here on iFIBER ONE News Radio. Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson selected. He's so happy. First pick of the Pro Bowl draft. He says, finally, I get drafted in the first round for something. Wilson chosen by Michael Irving, serving as the Pro Bowl legend captain, opposite fellow Hall of Famer Jerry Rice, who picked Eli Manning for his first pick. Russell had a fun little tweet about it as well. And what did he have to say?
Oh, he said, #1 pick overall. Finally, I guess short guys do win after all. # no more heel lifts.
That's so funny. More Gonzaga basketball Saturday versus San Francisco. The Pro Bowl is on Sunday. Looking at the scoreboard, high school basketball, Lincoln over Capital, Bellarmine Prep over Timberline, and Olympia over Gig Harbor. Girls basketball, Lincoln as well over Capital. North Thurston over Foss and Gig Harbor over Olympia. Sean Wells will be here during the 8:30 newscast talking about this week in sports and which league the High Climbers could be in for the next 4 years, what that means, and tonight he's heading up to Tacoma to go see the Lincoln-Shelton wrestling match. Both teams are 6-0. And so this is for a big deal conference. Very cool. And happy that Sean will be headed up there to go see how the High Climbers do. 6:39 now, and here's Carol with the forecast.
It's 53 and it's raining this morning. The rain will diminish to a few showers this afternoon and evening, and we'll have a high today of 53, so it's not going to get much warmer or colder. Tomorrow will be similar to today with the rain early and then cloudy with showers. And Saturday, we just may see some sunshine, and we may see some sunshine on Sunday. Right now, it's 53.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
.640 here at iFIBER ONE News Radio and iFIBER1newsradio.com. Coming up in a little bit, we're going to talk about a new movie that's coming up. I guess it's not a movie. These are called miniseries.
Miniseries.
It's a miniseries on ABC, the second and the third, but it's all about Bernie Madoff. Remember Bernie?
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy that did the pyramid scams.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even Kevin Bacon got involved in that. Anyways, Richard Dreyfuss is going to be Bernie Madoff. You can see the preview on our iFIBER ONE News Radio Facebook page. We'll talk about that in a little bit. More on that North Mason luncheon. There's a lot of people there, and it was great to talk with Commissioner Randy Netherland.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked with him, Under Sheriff Jim Barrett, and as I mentioned, Ryan Sperling had the main presentation. So one of the questions He's like, all right, so this is a feedback session. Ryan is up there talking. Great guy. Oh, my gosh, what a great, he's so funny. This is a feedback session, and so I want to kind of know, you guys have any questions or give us some feedback on how we're doing. And like one of the first questions is, are you jumping in the polar bear plunge?
Oh. You said that?
No, not me.
Oh.
No, not me. Because I know the answer already is yes. And so he goes, yeah, I'll be doing it. And I talked with Teresa Eric from the Sheriff's Department as well, because she's just been jumping the last couple of years. And we're all getting ready. And I've been pumping you up, Carol, saying, oh, Carol's going to join us this time. And it's going to be a lot of fun. It's on February 6th, the day before the Super Bowl. And it's out at the Alderbrook. And it's from 11 to 2. It's all helping Mason County Emergency Services. Dale's going to be doing the music and the PA. And you and I are one of the first pairs. I don't think we're going to jump at the same time. We may. Well, we'll see. I'll probably just push you in and then not jump myself. I think that's...
Maybe I'll just push you in.
Kind of where I'm feeling this right now. But regardless, it's going to be a huge fun day, fun event. Seeing all these yahoos jumping into cold water for a great cause, and there's delicious food to warm you up afterwards.
Bring your own towel.
BYOT.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Mason County Garbage and Recycling on Johns Prairie here in Shelton is pleased to offer safe and efficient removal services. Mason County Garbage and Recycling is always mindful of environmental standards and is continuously striving for the highest excellence. Mason County Garbage and Recycling, upholding your trust within the community. Questions? Call 426-8729. In Belfair, 275-4590.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom31.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom31.com. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom31.com.
A properly fitting saddle on your horse will help ensure a relaxing ride. Hi, I'm Jody Henke. A saddle that doesn't fit can give the horse a sore back and a bad attitude as you're living the country life.
Living the country life. Today's topic, previous shows by visiting us online at livingthecountrylife.com. We'll return to the show after these messages.
Morton Buildings, the best in the construction business since 1903. If you're ready for a new farm storage facility, insulated workshop, hobby garage, horse barn, or custom home, Morton will provide the building you'll be proud to call your own. Contact us today during Building Value Days. It's the biggest sales event of the year. Don't miss the opportunity to get the best building at the best price. Find the building of your dreams at mortonbuildings.com.
Whenever you're online, Living the Country Life is there too. Like us on Facebook and exchange tips, ideas, and recipes with thousands of people who share your love for the country life. Follow us on Twitter at Small Farming for timely news and information. Find us on Pinterest so you can pick up your latest recipes, get inspired for country decorating, and much more. And while you're out enjoying the country, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Living the Country Life MAG and tag your photos under Love Country Lifestyle.
Got a grumpy horse? Maybe the saddle's bothering him. It's imperative to properly fit a saddle for his comfort and your riding experience. Carl Hoops is an equine extension specialist at Utah State University. He says to first determine the type of saddle you need based on your style of riding, be it English or Western. Have a professional measure the width of the horse so the saddle doesn't pinch the withers or the shoulder area.
By pinching that area, then you're cutting off blood supply. It can be very painful to the horse as a lot of pressure is applied. I think the majority of the time we have a tendency to have too narrow of a saddle, and it's putting too much pressure on the withers. Also, if you have too wide of a saddle, then the saddle's not held up off of the withers of the horse and can actually cause some damage there as well.
How the saddle fits you also determines comfort for the horse. The saddle should rest firmly from the front to the back and not rock back and forth while you're sitting in it. On a Western saddle, measure from the bottom of the saddle horn to the back of the seat. This can range from 14 inches, which would fit a child, up to 17 inches for a larger adult.
Those measurements are pretty important because it distributes the weight. Focus all that weight on too small of a surface area, then it can cut off the blood supply to that certain area of the skin of the horse and can actually cause damage to the skin and leave the telltale saddle marks.
When you remove the saddle and blanket, look for a uniform sweat pattern on the horse's back. Any dry spots are indicative of pressure points and cut off blood supply. Find more guidelines for fitting a horse saddle at livingthecountrylife.com. I'll see you in the country.
Living the Country Life. Ideas and inspiration for your place in the country. You can find more information on today's topic, share your tips, and post photos by visiting us online.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Jeff and Carol, and this Zika virus is getting out of control quick, and I still do not have a firm grasp on what it is. So we're going to talk about it a little bit right now. We have some news reports from ABC. Carol's been doing a lot of research here during the break. It's 6:48 right now. We've got Mike Wittenberg, CPA, coming in at 7:45, and then we'll focus on Shelton at 8:45 this morning. Mary Lynn Foster has the latest in local news right after the top of the hour news with ABC. Probably talk about Zika virus, probably talk about the debate tonight in Iowa, and maybe the other mano a mano debate on Saturday. We'll see if that happens. But first, is the rapidly spreading Zika virus a world health emergency? That's the question that medical experts at the WHO will try to answer in an emergency meeting on Monday in Geneva. An emergency meeting, so who knows? ABC's Bazi Kanani has more on the announcement from the World Health Organization's Director General.
Dr. Margaret Chan said the mosquito-borne Zika virus, first discovered in East Africa, is now spreading explosively in the Americas, where there is concern the virus is causing birth defects and neurological problems.
The possible links, only recently suspected, have rapidly changed the risk profile of Zika from a mild threat to one of alarming proportions.
Chan said she's also concerned about an expected increase this year in mosquito populations. Bazi Kanani, ABC News, Washington.
Well, Carol, does that square with what you've been finding on the internet that's about this Zika virus and how it is spread and transmitted?
Yeah, it's spread by mosquitoes, but it's, I mean, like malaria, but they're mostly active during the day versus the malaria mosquitoes are most active during the night.
Oh,
so, you know, people used to use those nets and such.
So if you're in Africa, you're in trouble both 24 hours a day.
Yeah, but not just Africa, South America right now.
I'm looking at a picture you have on your computer here, and the different types of mosquitoes that do so what you're looking at here, and maybe we can share these on our Facebook page, but images of kind of a heat map of the world with the probability of occurrences for two different types of mosquitoes. Now, both can spread the Zika virus. I mean, naming the mosquitoes is not going to help anybody.
No.
But you can see in these images that one of them is in the deep, deep south, and one of them covers a lot of the south that you would consider the total part of the south, kind of from the Great Lakes south over from Texas, and then parts of what's that other country right there, South America as well. Interesting to know, currently here in the Pac Northwest and Canada and parts of Chile in South America are not seeing this because of the cold conditions.
Right. Right.
So what's the deal? Can you do anything to help yourself against this?
Well, there's no cure right now. And most people don't even see a symptom. But if you do, it's usually a rash or whatever. So the only thing you can do is try not to get bit.
How do you try not to get bit? You use these
repellents, you cover with long sleeves, you get rid of any stagnant water around. I mean, they are trying to figure out exactly, how they're going to tell everybody, what to do. But right now, but mainly the main people that are going to be affected are pregnant women or women that could get pregnant. They're advised not to travel to the affected areas.
They can't even travel. So if you're pregnant,
you would not want to travel to those areas, because if a mosquito bites an affected person and then that mosquito bites you, it's going to go into your baby. And they're worried about this one disease called. Let's see, I had it here.
Was it a microcephalus?
Yeah, microcephalus. And it hasn't been confirmed that this is what's happening, but they think that this virus is contributing to microcephalus, which means the baby's brains are born smaller. So it leads to all sorts of problems.
Sure. One hospital in the city down there where they were talking about some of these stories in Brazil says that they've been kind of average of 5 a year. Now in the last 6 months, they're at 300.
Yeah, that's crazy.
5 a year, now 306 months. Fortunately, and I don't know, we're going to be moving into a time where the weather will be warming soon, and there are mosquitoes here in this part of the country.
Are you, do you get bitten?
I do get bit.
Yeah. So and the weird thing is once you get bit, so you have this virus just sitting inside you, becomes inactive maybe, and then you get bit, you can spread it. Especially there's no symptoms on a lot of people. Maybe you get a rash.
That's the craziest thing.
Yeah, it is crazy.
And a rash, like who doesn't get rashes every so often?
I
don't know.
TMI?
Well, if you scratch yourself and then you get a red mark.
We're not trying to make light of this at all.
I'm just saying that's a common side effect that people get.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
There's plenty of winter left. Will your wood pile go the distance? Some time-tested firewood advice today from the Old Farmer's Almanac. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac radio report for Thursday, January 28th, the 28th day of the year. Actor Alan Alda celebrates his 80th birthday, and it's the 30th anniversary of the Challenger. The space shuttle and 7 crew members were lost on this day in 1986. If you keep a stack of firewood, it may be time for a midwinter checkup. Here's some firewood advice from our Almanac archives. Don't stack a wood pile against a wooden building. Direct contact encourages rot. Stack your firewood bark side up so that it sheds water. And in the Almanac pages from 1887, look sharp after the wood pile. It's always best to have the wood sawn and split and piled up in time to get the advantage of the March winds to dry it. That's the Old Farmer's Almanac radio report. Find more seasonal advice and sign up for our free newsletter at almanac.com.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Good morning to you. It's Thursday here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, Daybreak, and we're looking at some stories from all around the world here this morning. Carol, you've got one for us.
Yeah, 2 aging, accident-prone U.S. yachtsmen are being urged to leave British waters after rescuers had to rescue them several times as they try to sail from Norway to Maine. More from ABC's Tom Rivers in London.
Bob Weiss and Steve Shapiro, both 71, have been described as a catastrophe waiting to happen. They've been rescued 9 times over the past 7 months. Search teams say it costs a lot of money every time they have to bail these guys out. Weiss tells ABC News Good Morning America.
It costs some money, but if they're not out looking for us, they're out practicing, and we give them good practice.
They're currently spending time in harbor in Cornwall after a fire broke out on board. Tom Rivers, ABC News, London.
Thank you, Tom Rivers. What? It costs some money, but if they're not out looking for us, they're out practicing.
Don't they get billed? They should be billed.
They should be billed.
Yeah, 9 times. That's totally crazy. I'd be like, yeah, do it yourself. No, I mean, you wouldn't. But
Who are these guys?
I don't know, but they're giving the U.S. citizens a bad name again.
Saw this funny picture on Reddit. It was how Americans see British people.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all that they were prim and proper. And then it was how Europeans see British people, and they were all being arrested. It's just, we got a long piece of water between us.
Europeans see British people, Europeans see Americans.
No, British.
Oh.
Because it was how we perceve the Brits. And we see them as prim and proper.
Okay. And
but the rest of Europe sees them probably more like us.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, so these guys here, where were they trying to go? From Norway to Maine.
Obviously, they haven't got very far.
No.
If
every
the Brits
time.
have to still get them.
Why don't they start in like Nova Scotia to Maine?
Yeah.
Baby steps.
Yeah, exactly.
6:57 here, iFIBER ONE Newsradio. What's coming up next? We have a CNBC Business Radio report talking about the markets and how things are going, and that's coming up next. ABC News just after that. See if we can get Carol on a yay or nay on the Trump showing at debate tonight. Give her a few minutes to ponder that question. You do or you do not?
I do.
I can't wait to hear it.
On iFIBER ONE News Radio.
I'm Chris Maurer, CNBC Business Radio. The markets are higher on a rebound in oil prices. The Dow's up 117 points, the Nasdaq higher by 46. Orders for long-lasting items ranging from jets to washing machines fell 5.1% in December. That number was way off from the 0.6% decline economists had expected. Meantime, jobless claims fell 16,000 to 278,000. Shares of Facebook are surging after the world's largest social network reported a 52% jump in revenue. Caterpillar is climbing after the heavy equipment maker beat fourth quarter earnings estimates, but revenue fell short. CEO Doug Oberhelman tells CNBC this year is going to be rough and challenging again. It wasn't so sweet at Hershey, the candy company, reporting a larger than expected 5% drop in quarterly net sales, Hershey blaming the strong dollar for weaker sales.
It's fun to splurge on nice things, but it's better to get those same nice things at a great value. Like a Honda certified pre-owned vehicle, the best certified pre-owned value in America, and backed by a limited warranty. Let Honda certified pre-owned take you farther. Visit HondaCertified.com and search for local inventory. Honda, start something special.
Based on 2015 Vincentric Best CPO Value in America Awards analysis, applicable to 2011 to 2015 Honda model years. See dealer for limited warranty details.
Looking to save money on Medicare Part D? Switch your prescriptions to Walgreens. With copays as low as $1, you could be looking at some real savings. And now you can preview the cost of your scripts before you fill with Walgreens' new Medicare prescription copay quote. And that's kind of a big deal. And healthy. Quote subject to change and available only for select Part D plans. $1 copay applies to tier 1.
Alex Jones and InfoWars on from 6 to 9 weekdays on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3 KMAF Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Karen Chase. The World Health Organization is sounding the alarm about the Zika virus. At an emergency meeting in Geneva, scientists are deciding whether to declare it an international health emergency. ABC's Bazi Kanani explains.
Dr. Margaret Chan said the mosquito-borne Zika virus, first discovered in East Africa, is now spreading explosively in the Americas, where there is concern the virus is causing birth defects and neurological problems.
The possible links, only recently suspected, have rapidly changed the risk profile of Zika from a mild threat to one of alarming proportions.
Chan said she's also concerned about an expected increase this year in mosquito populations. Bazi Kanani, ABC News, Washington.
Republican rivals are trying to capitalize on Donald Trump's boycott of the Republican debate. Ted Cruz says Trump is very afraid of Megyn Kelly. In response to Cruz's challenge to a personal debate, Trump said only if it's held in Canada. Bernie Sanders was invited to the White House for a private meeting with President Obama. Meanwhile, ABC's Jonathan Karl tells us Sanders has pulled close to Hillary Clinton in polling.
The polls here are statistically tied. One day a poll will come out that shows Bernie Sanders slightly ahead. The next day, Hillary Clinton slightly ahead. This race is neck and neck going into the caucuses.
Leo DiCaprio met with Pope Francis and thanked him in Italian for the FaceTime. Earlier this week, he addressed the World Economic Forum in Switzerland and urged leaders to do more to fight global warming. He also pledged $15 million to the effort. Health experts are warning parents against the latest YouTube trend, the duct tape challenge. One teen who let friends tape him up fell over and hit his head on concrete, causing a brain aneurysm and eye socket damage. Barbie's got a new body. Actually, 3 of them. Mattel is debuting a new series of Barbie dolls, including one that are tall, one's petite, and another that's curvy. Barbie makes her debut on the cover of Time magazine. This is ABC News.
QL1, does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork?
Negative control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage approval process in minutes.
That is fast, like rock.
That ready device, so you can get a Rocket Mortgage at any time or place you choose. Over.
3, 2, 1.
Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Do you freak out every time you break out? Try Proactive. There's a huge reason Proactive is the #1 acne treatment. It totally works. For just $19.95, you'll get Proactive and a rotating deep cleansing brush. A $45 value, yours free. For only $19.95, you're guaranteed to get clear and stay clear or your money back. Here's the number, 1-800-644-5944. Call now for a lifetime of beautiful skin. 1-800-644-5444.
Walmart recently announced plans to close more than 150 stores in the U.S., which ABC's Ryan Burrow tells us is causing financial earthquakes in a host of small towns.
In Oriental, North Carolina, when Walmart Express moved in a couple years ago, it meant the end to mom and pop stores. A grocery store that had been there for decades had to close. A local pharmacy lost. Even a sandwich shop gone. With Walmart Express now leaving, Oriental Police Chief Dwayne Moore says there are new problems.
30% of the community, less than 900 folks, is between the age of 70 and 92. And, a lot of folks have trouble getting around. So the older folks are suffering because of this.
Walmart says it's putting its focus on superstores and online sales. Ryan Burrow, ABC News.
It could be just a matter of time before Facebook rules the world. The company's makes in a year. Its earnings more than doubled to more than $1.5 billion, even as it invests in internet access in remote parts of the world and virtual reality. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation Center. Find them online at sheltonhealthandrehab.com.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. A 17-year-old North Mason High School student was arrested on a charge of second-degree rape of a 14-year-old girl in the school parking lot. The alleged incident occurred during the high school's lunch hour late last Thursday, and authorities say the girl was told not to tell anyone. She did report it to a student counselor at the school immediately afterward, and the counselor called 911. The accused teen made an initial appearance yesterday afternoon in Mason County Superior Court and faces arraignment on the charges at a later date. The incident remains under investigation. The city's Director of Community and Economic Development proposed reductions to the Shelton City Commission after Mayor Gary Krantz requested them to spur economic development in the city. Steve Goins proposed a 30% reduction in building fees and a 55% reduction in water and sewer charges and traffic impact fees for new homes. While Commissioner Tracy Moore expressed concerns, both the mayor and Commissioner Kathy McDowell agreed to try the fee reduction stimulus for a year. The Mason County's point-in-time homeless count takes place today. Tammy Newton, Human Services Coordinator for Mason County, said they will fan out around the county to conduct the count. She says volunteer counters will cover 21 known homeless camps around the county as part of the effort to get an accurate count. Results are expected to be released in 2 weeks. The county is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to conduct the count. During Port of Call on Daybreak, Dick Taylor and John Dobson talked about how different the waterfront could look in the future with walking trails, viewpoints, and a walking connection from the marina to downtown Shelton.
The city is working on a park and ride, which is on the north, on the west side of the trestle. So as you make the right turn by Lumberman's to go out underneath the trestle, just before you get to the trestle, that pear orchard is going to be turned into a park and ride.
Already is a park and ride.
With restroom facilities there. And then they have a trail that does lead right over to the marina. So just as they cross underneath the railroad trestle, then that becomes our responsibility from that point on. And we have some conceptual ideas about running that trail out on over some of the new fill. That'll be part of the seagrass that's coming in, so people get a better chance to get out and see nature, and then that'll work its way right back over to the marina. So I think there's a nice natural connection there, and then of course the city will continue their trail back over to Front Street and then down Front.
The restoration plan is expected to take 3 to 5 years to complete. Learn more about the deconstruction of some buildings on Johns Prairie in the full interview on the Daybreak page at iFIBER1newsradio.com. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
The Dave Ramsey Show, where common sense meets dollars and cents.
Patrick in Texas says, my wife thinks we should have an emergency credit card. How can I explain to her that this is a terrible idea? Well, the last time on earth that you need to go into debt at 18% interest would be at a time when your family has an emergency. What you need is money. If you had $20,000,
Show, weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER One News Radio.
Is your family doing some growing? Whether it's an expansion of your home or the addition of a new family car, Peninsula Credit Union can provide fast, friendly service with terrific rates. We offer personal lines of credit, affordable auto loans, and a variety of home loan options to get you moving. Visit our offices in Shelton, Belfair, Paulsbo, Port Orchard, and Port Townsend, or go online to pcfcu.org. At Peninsula Credit Union, our priority is you.
Well, good Thursday morning to you. It's iFIBER One News Radio. I'm Jeff Slakey, along with Carol Gardner.
Good morning.
Checking sports in just a second after a big win at the Mini Dome last night. But first, Carol, what's going on with the weather and any more information on that landslide near Elma?
It's 51 outside. It's warm in here, and it is still raining. And no, I don't have any update other than they do have the traffic diversion in place. So there'll be signs if you're heading down there. They will send you on the detours. Okay. But just beware that it is still closed, and it probably won't be open for another hour. Well, they have to assess it and then figure out.
Then they still just even have to get there and see it in the daylight.
Yeah, they have to wait for daylight, which will be about 7:43.
So this could be hours.
Yes, it could be, unfortunately.
And that's on State Route 12 at the Porter Creek Road. All right, thank you. Moving now back to sports. Freshman Timber Ware scored 8 in the first 2 minutes of play as Shelton knocked off Mount Tahoma last night, 37-35. T-Birds had a 6-point lead late in the second quarter. Senior Vanessa Kennedy stepped it up big for the High Climbers, hitting back-to-back threes and a tie in the game at 22 at the half. It was a back-and-forth contest the rest of the way, but Shelton relied on steady defense to close out the victory. It was a big win for Shelton, picking up a game in the conference standings, and High Climbers head coach Aaron Leth knows it's going to be a tough final stretch for the team, but he believes they can pull together and do what it takes to make the playoffs.
Boy, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a rat race after this week. You know, we're tied right now with North Thurston. We're a game back from Mount Tahoma, even though we beat them twice, and I think we're 2 games back from Capital. All the teams that we play still have Lincoln and Wilson to play, and so we know they're going to probably pick up some losses there, but we just got to do our job. We got to go out, to play the best we can against Lincoln. We played pretty tough against them at home. If we can do that, maybe we get a couple extra buckets to fall, a little less turnovers, and we're right in the game.
All right, thank you, Coach Leth, and you can see that interview, part of package that Sean Wells is putting together. He's going to be on the air with us in about an hour and a half to talk about tonight's big wrestling match between Shelton and Lincoln, both teams 6-0, and he'll be heading up there to Lincoln to do some filming and interviewing of the players, the coaches, the fans, and all sorts of good stuff. That's happening there. Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson selected for the Pro Bowl. That is Sunday. He is very happy that he has been picked number 1 overall finally, and he tweets out, "Short guys do win after all. Hashtag no more heel lifts."
I wonder if Michael Landon's on that one too.
Michael Landon? Was he short?
Yeah.
The guy from Highway to Heaven?
Yeah, he wore...
Lila House for you, Highway to Heaven for me.
He wore heel lifts. At least that's what they said in some of the documentaries I read about.
Is he from here? Was that the guy from Dallas? I worked at this double-decker fish and chips place in Bellingham, and the owner went to school with, it was Patrick Duffy. Yeah, he's from around here.
Yeah.
A different guy. Gonzaga basketball tonight on the radio versus Santa Clara. Pregame at 5:40. Tomorrow night on iFIBER1newsradio.com, a video cast of Shelton boys basketball from the Mini Dome at 7. And as I mentioned, Sean Wells will be here during the 8:30 news to also talk about this week in sports and which league the High Climbers could see themselves in and be locked in for the next 4 years, and what that potentially means. That's all coming up here at 8:30 with Sean Wells. But now, Carol Gardner has the weather forecast.
Good morning. It's 52. Rain this morning, diminishing to a few showers this afternoon and evening. A high today near 55. Tomorrow will be similar to today with the rain early and cloudy with showers. Saturday we could see some sun, and Sunday we could see some sun. Right now it's 52.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
7:13 here at iFIBER One News Radio, and it's Daybreak with Jeff and Carol on a Thursday morning, and a good morning to you. About a half an hour from now, Mike Wittenberg, CPA, will be here to talk about some of the latest changes in tax law. There was a big bill that was passed finally. Congress passed the Consolidated Appropriations Act 2016, and it's got good news for just about everybody. Makes some of the long-favored tax breaks permanent and retroactively extends some of them, and a couple new. You get a tax break. You get a tax break. And you get a tax. We'll find out who gets those tax breaks with Mike Wittenberg, CPA, at 7:45. We'll focus on Shelton at 8:45 this morning, and some other stories to talk about right after the break. Trump in the debate, Trump not in the debate. If he's not, what does that mean? There's a lot of debate prep that's happening right now.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER One News Radio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER One News Radio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience. We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area, it's over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCord, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER One News Radio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
Now, from the iFIBER One News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
7:16 at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. AM 1030, FM 103.3. We're also streaming online at iFIBER1Newsradio.com, and you can watch the show now on YouTube. And good morning to you. It is Daybreak. Hi, Carol.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm well. Trump says he was pushed away from the debate. This is the latest from ABC News. Republican presidential candidate and frontrunner Donald Trump said last night he was, quote, pushed away from participating in the next GOP debate. And you can jump in at any time.
Okay, yeah, I beg to differ. He was not pushed away. He decided to step away.
Trump, who withdrew from the contest, made the remarks on Fox News, on the channel that he's having a beef with. He was on Papa Bear, Big O'Reilly Factor last night. Was watching the tail end of No Spin Zone, and then the Megyn Kelly file.
Well, the name.
Her haircut looks really nice.
I'm sure. But the name of the show is sort of a play on words. No Spin Zone.
One of my best coffee mugs is the No Spin Zone coffee mug I found once at the Goodwill.
Oh.
Made in America.
25 cents.
Also, Megyn was on there. She's one of the moderators. And so they were discussing what's going to happen. This is so interesting.
So she was on there also with Trump and O'Reilly?
No. So Trump and O'Reilly were on the O'Reilly Factor.
Okay.
And then Megyn Kelly was on the Kelly File, her show, which is on just after that. And I kind of was watching that in betwixt, getting Kaiser ready for bed. And then Sean Hannity was on later in the day, and Ted Cruz was there. So Ted Cruz has put forth a challenge to do a debate with him Saturday night. They've already got the place booked. And he says, listen, you bring half the crowd, I'll bring half the crowd. Here, we can either get Mark Levin to do the moderation, or if you don't like Levin, you can get Hannity, or if you don't like Hannity, you get Limbaugh. And it'll be just you and me, an hour or 2 hours or something, Lincoln Douglas style debate. And then here's where like the FEC rules. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Well, would it just be online?
No. Well,
how would it be on what network would pick it up?
I don't know what network would pick it up.
Well, because my thing is, why not have private debates? I mean, why can't you just have debates without bringing the network into it? Then you avoid all this stuff, and you avoid the A team and the B team, which is ridiculous.
Speaking of the upcoming debate on February 6th, which we will carry, ABC News has put forth the recommendations, and there will be no second tier debate. It will be just one, and it'll probably be only about 6. They're really ratcheting down these poll numbers.
And February 6th is Saturday?
Is that when it is? It's around there.
So we jump, do the polar plunge, have the debate, and then we watch the Hawaiian Bowl or the Super Bowl the next day. It's a big weekend.
And actually, there's a Gonzaga basketball game that night, right after the debate.
Okay, so we have to fit all that in.
And Gonzaga after that, and the polar plunge, you're right. So anyways, what is fascinating to me as a communication kid from Western is the debate prep that these folks need to deal with. You need to get your zingers in there. So people have to probably be practicing with Trump and sans Trump, because if he's not there, is everybody going to dog on him the whole night, or are they going to then turn their focus on the number 2 guy, Ted Cruz?
How about if they talk about important issues?
Well,
you know,
I mean, they're trying to pick the person first. The issues come later. Don't worry about the issues. The issues come later. We're trying to pick a person first.
Yeah. Okay. So that's where we differ in how we view our presidential candidates.
I completely agree that there should be issues addressed, but
so this to me is just ridiculous that he's like, I'm not going to go.
Yes, he has been feuding with the network over what he says has been mistreatment from the very first one when Megyn Kelly was.
And he does not mistreat anybody.
I don't like being taken advantage of. I'm not going to let our country be taken advantage of. I don't think that's a really bad personality trait.
So he can dish it out, but he can't take it. That's sort of what I get.
What I'm reading here. You know, O'Reilly was saying you have 60 seconds right off the top to tell any of the moderators that you're a pinhead, which is O'Reilly's fun one there. Your questions are unfair, and this is why, and here is what I want to say. But by walking away from it, you lose an opportunity to persuade people that you are a strong leader. That's just what O'Reilly says.
Yeah, so Korea or Russia say something, and then Trump's like, well, I'm not going to go because they're mean to me. I mean, really.
No, I see what you're saying.
You have to have some kind of you have to be able to navigate waters, and he obviously cannot. He wants everything his own way or no way.
Right.
The Trump way or no way. And that's not, you can't rule, you can't be a presidential, you can rule and be a dictatorship if that's what he wants to do.
And maybe
he wants to be King Trump. I mean,
King Trump. That's not a bad one.
Yeah. Ain't gonna happen.
So is he going to be there tonight or no?
Yeah, he's gonna swoosh in.
You think he's going to show up? Interesting. I tend to agree. We'll find out tonight.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having someone else raise your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom31.com.
Freedom 30 from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios. You're listening to Daybreak. Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Well, good morning to you. It is Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio, 7:23 here, and Jeff and Carol hanging out, talking about some of the news that's been happening here around the world and the Northwest, looking at some of the Associated Press headlines here while Carol is checking out the Twitter sphere. Quick, anything new on this slide? No? Okay. Nope. So there was a landslide earlier this morning. DOT and the troopers are on the scene of a fully blocking slide on State Route 12, milepost 7. That's Porter Creek Road, which is about 7 miles east outside. Are well away from daylight and then well away from any amount of time that they can assess and fix the situation.
Right. About 20 minutes daylight should be happening officially.
Mike Wittenberg, CPA, will be here in about 20 minutes to talk about the latest changes in tax laws. It's tax time currently, and we'll have some tax reports for you throughout the rest up until April 15th.
So gone are the days that you could just fill out a 10 easy form for you.
Oh, it's so complicated now. I don't even know half the things. Stephanie does it for me.
You're married, you got a child, you got a house.
You got the other thing, you got deductions. I don't even know what that means. You're right. It is become complicated to fill out your tax forms. But that's why you find somebody who's smart, professional, knows what they're doing, like Mike Wittenberg, CPA, for example. All right, looking at some of the news minutes from the Associated Press, talking a little bit about that homeless camp shooting the other day. The police hope to interview the survivors of Tuesday's fatal shooting at a homeless camp. To get more information about it, the police chief in Seattle, Kathleen O'Toole, says the victims were not targeted because they were homeless. Victims likely knew the shooters. A bill that would eliminate Washington's new rule allowing transgender people to use bathrooms and locker rooms in public buildings consistent with their gender identity has passed a state Senate committee. Opponents of the rule says it might be used to sexually assault women.
Boeing company shares slid to their lowest levels in 2.5 years on yesterday after the company reported lower fourth quarter profit and gave a disappointing forecast for earnings and airplane deliveries in 2016. Boeing said aircraft deliveries would slip from a record 762 in 2015 to about 740 and 745 this year.
And a lawsuit has been filed in federal court against the Olympia School District on behalf of a former student, alleging the district should have done more to protect him from a hazing ritual. I believe this happened at Capitol High School. An Olympia School District spokesman told the Olympian that the district officials are reviewing the suit. 7:26 here at iFIBER One News Radio, and a good morning to you. It is Daybreak here. I was looking, we write a lot on the websites and things like that, and one of the things that I found the other day on Reddit to help out, kind of a tip if you're writing something today and you need to proofread it, or you need it proofed, but maybe you don't have the resources or you don't have the extra eyes to proofread these things, change the font. Change the font to a weird-looking font, and it'll really make you focus in on the words and help you read it better. The other thing that helps us radio folk, everybody in general, I suppose, but reading what you have written out loud,
right? Reading
will really show the gaps.
Right, and then I had heard a thing about reading it backwards also, which this person who said about changing the font, he says it works better than reading it backwards.
But what are we doing when we read
changing
it
backwards? The font. Well, because you have to do each word. You know, you have to do each word, and if it's spelt wrong, you'll note it'll be different. It's like reading with a different font. It's different for you, so you have to pay more attention. I mean, if you're writing a story and you write it, and then you're through with it, you just can't see your mistakes anymore. It's like the forest, you can't see the forest because of the trees, you can't see the trees because of the forest, whatever. So if you change the font, all of a sudden it becomes something completely different.
It's like somebody else's,
So you have to work harder. So it's a great idea.
Check that out there. You can find it. You know, not many people like Comic Sans anymore, so that's probably a good font that you could change it to.
No, you would change it to something completely different because you're used to Comic Sans.
So like an old English style font even?
Something you don't particularly like, actually.
ABC News has a show coming up in February, beginning of February, called Madoff, and it reveals the man behind the scam. We have the trailer for it on the website, or on our Facebook page, facebook.com. You can search for us there. And Richard Dreyfuss is going to be Bernie Madoff. And I believe I saw a picture of him. You know, you can see what he looks like in the video clips, but he sure looks like Bernie Madoff.
Yeah.
And it's going to be quite an interesting story. I love these behind the scenes. You know, there's obviously liberties taken by the people who make these things, but for the most part, at least you get a little bit of idea of maybe his reasoning.
You like the documentaries behind the scenes of somebody's life.
Yeah. It's kind of how I feel with sports events. I like to hear the pre-show, build up to it, and then I can see all the highlights later, and then in the post-game, but the behind the scenes stuff is what I really enjoy. Say 7:28 here at iFIBER One News Radio and iFIBER1newsradio.com. We got a lot of great things on the website, and we're checking out weather. It was super rainy over the overnight.
It was very rainy.
And we're still looking at some 52 or so degree weather conditions with rain. Under our new odds and ends section, which you find under the entertainment tab, there's something coming up at the Shelton Timberland Library we want to pass along.
The library has a lot of great classes. One of them is Come Together Mason County Suicide Prevention, and that's going to be a first in a series of difficult and timely community discussions, and that's going to be happening at the Shelton Timberland Library Tuesday, February 9th. All Timberland Regional Library programs are free and open to the public. Also, there's at the Olympia Timberland Library, making a safe havens for bees. So it's the first step, understanding about how the bee colonies. There's a bee colony collapse. I don't know if you were paying attention to any of the stuff that's been happening with
the
bees.
honeybees.
It's really interesting to find out our little friends, how we can help them.
Friends?
Oh, yeah.
Do they sting you? What kind of friends stings you?
Honeybees don't sting you.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. A 17-year-old North Mason High School student was arrested on a charge of second-degree rape of a 14-year-old girl in the school parking lot. The alleged incident occurred during the high school's lunch hour late last Thursday, and authorities say the girl was told not to tell anyone. She did report it to a student counselor at the school immediately afterward, and the counselor called 911. The accused teen made an initial appearance yesterday afternoon in Mason County Superior Court and faces arraignment on the charges at a later date. The incident. The city's Director of Community and Economic Development proposed reductions to the Shelton City Commission after Mayor Gary Krantz requested them to spur economic development in the city. Steve Goins proposed a 30% reduction in building fees and a 55% reduction in water and sewer charges and traffic impact fees for new homes. While Commissioner Tracy Moore expressed concerns, both the mayor and Commissioner Kathy McDowell agreed to try the fee reduction stimulus for a year. The Mason County's point-in-time homeless count takes place today. Tammy Newton, Human Services Coordinator for Mason County, said they will fan out around the county to conduct the count. She says volunteer counters will cover 21 known homeless camps around the county as part of the effort to get an accurate count. Results are expected to be released in 2 weeks. The county is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to conduct the count. During Port of Call on Daybreak, Dick Taylor and John Dobson talked about how different the waterfront could look in the future with walking trails, viewpoints, and a walking connection from the marina to downtown Shelton.
The city is working on a park and ride, which is on the on the west side of the trestle. So as you make the right turn by Lumberman's to go out underneath the trestle, just before you get to the trestle, that pear orchard is going to be turned into a park and ride.
Already is a park and ride.
With restroom facilities there. And then they have a trail that does lead right over to the marina. So just as they cross underneath the railroad trestle, then that becomes our responsibility from that point on. And we have some conceptual ideas about running that trail out on over some of the new fill. That'll be part of the seagrass that's coming in, so people get a better chance to get out and see nature, and then that'll work its way right back over to the marina. So I think there's a nice natural connection there, and then of course the city will continue their trail back over to Front Street and then down Front.
The restoration plan is expected to take 3 to 5 years to complete. Learn more about the deconstruction of some buildings on Johns Prairie in the full interview on the Daybreak page at iFIBER1newsradio.com. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Hi, I'm Ken Slater, the Roof Doctor. If you're like me, your family's important, so make sure that they're well taken care of. One of the best ways to do that is to provide a safe and warm home to live in. For over 50 years, the Roof Doctor has been helping families stay safe and warm by building roofs that last for generations. Our teams have some of the most experienced roofers in the area, and we only use the highest quality materials to keep your family safe, warm, and dry. That's the Roof Doctor. Give us a call.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Zach Karnowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corner, Nelson driving baseline and a two-handed throw down dunk. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with 2 hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
Spurs, Warriors, and Clippers win. Serena's in the Aussie Finals. Hi, everybody. Tonnet reporting on sports. After Monday's 30-point embarrassment in Golden State, San Antonio made easy work of the Rockets.
Parker left wing against Beverly. Screen by Leonard. Driving inside. Teardrop. Parker off the back of the rim. No good. Follow. Slam. LaMarcus Aldridge.
On WOAI, Spurs were out Houston 130-99. Speaking of the Warriors.
Klay Thompson, deep three left wing. Why not? And Steve Kerr immediately gets up off the bench and says, okay, Klay's night is done.
On KNBR, Klay Thompson, 45 points in Golden State's 127-107 win over Dallas, improving to 42-4. The Cavs improved to 2-1 under new coach Tyronn Lue.
4-on-1 for the Cavs, goes to Smith. Alley-oop to LeBron, and LeBron hammers it home with authority.
On WTAM, after spending part of Wednesday denying that he was a coach killer, LeBron James scored 21 points, 9 assists in just 31 minutes in the Cavaliers' 115-93 rout of the Suns. Kevin Durant scored 27 in another Thunder win.
Retreats, dances, crossover, pulls up, fires, angle right three is on the way. Cha-ching at Thunder Moneyball. Katie authors the tray.
On WWLS, Russell Westbrook added 24 in Oklahoma City's 126-123 victory over Minnesota. Beginning another quest for a calendar Grand Slam, top seed Serena Williams advanced to the finals of the Australian Open after taking out Aggie Radwanska 11-4 in the semis.
I'm really excited to be in another final, so it just kind of blows my mind right now. It's physically I'm feeling a lot better. Mentally, I needed that break after the Open.
Serena will face 7th seed Angelique Kerber of Germany on Saturday. Top 20, the Razorbacks gig the Aggies.
2 seconds. Hope for the tie. No! Down goes number 5.
On ESPN, Arkansas picks off number 5 Texas A&M 74-71. NHL, the only way to believe it is to see it on video. It was clear as day. Flames defenseman Dennis Weidman cross-checked linesman Don Henderson from behind, sending him to the ice. After the game, Weidman said he didn't intentionally hit Henderson. Todd Ant, ABC Sports.
All right, good morning to you. It's Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE News Radio on a Thursday morning. Good morning to you. It's Jeff and Carol. Morning, Carol.
Good morning, Jeff.
So I've got sports here in a second, but first, what's going on in the forecast?
Oh, it is about 52 and it's raining right now.
I just walked outside and it's still pretty dark and rainy for sure. Be advised, Mike Wettenberg CPA coming up in just a little bit. Freshman Timber Ware scored 8 points in the first 2 minutes of play as Shelton knocked off Mount Tahoma last night, 37-35. The T-Birds had a 6-point lead late in the second quarter. Oh, but then senior Vanessa Kennedy stepped up big time for the High Climbers, hitting back-to-back threes, tying the game at 22 at the half. Back and forth contest the rest of the way. Shelton relied on steady defense to close out the victory. It was a big win for Shelton, picking up a game in the conference standings. High Climber head coach Aaron Leff knows it's going to be a tough final stretch for his team, but he believes they can pull together and do what it takes to make the playoffs.
Boy, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a rat race after this week. You know, we're tied right now with North Thurston. We're a game back from Mount Tahoma, even though we beat them twice, and I think we're 2 games back from Capital. All the teams that we play still have Lincoln and Wilson to play, and so we know they're going to probably pick up some losses there, but we just got to do our job. We got to go out, to play the best we can against Lincoln. We played pretty tough against them at home, and if we can do that, maybe we get a couple extra buckets to fall, a little less turnovers, and we're right in the game.
Thank you, Coach Leth, for that conversation with our sports director, Sean Wells, last night after the game. Sean will be back on a video broadcast of boys basketball from the Mini Dome tomorrow night at 7. Tonight, we have Gonzaga basketball on the radio versus Santa Clara with the pregame at 5:40. Also at the high school scoreboard, boys basketball, Lincoln over Capital, Bellarmine Prep over Timberline, and Olympia over Gig Harbor. And girls basketball, Lincoln beats Capital as well, North Thurston over Foss, and Gig Harbor bests Olympia. Sean Wells will be here in about an hour talking about this week in sports. The league changes that are happening, and people are starting to key in on that a little bit more, could find the High Climbers in a different league for the next 4 years. And we'll find out what that means as well. Sean's going to be up at Lincoln tonight for the wrestling match. Both teams, Shelton 6-0, Lincoln 6-0. This is for the conference championship, and go High Climbers.
Good morning. It's 53. Rain this morning. Heading to a few showers this afternoon and the evening. High at 55. Tomorrow will be similar to today with rain early and then showers later. Saturday, we should see some sunshine, and right now it's 53.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South Sound's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor. Your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
Good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at 7:41. We've got Mike Wittenberg coming up here on the big show in a little bit. Also, we'll focus on Shelton today. Tomorrow's Friday. Dr. Alex Apostle will stop by for our weekly conversations with him about the school district and all the great things that the school district is working on. We're also looking at stories on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.com, and we've been focusing heavily on the top story under the local news tab. A tough story to report on this morning is a North Mason student who is 17 arrested in the rape of a girl there at 14. And you can read the story that Jeff Chu put together for us on the front page of iFIBER1Newsradio.com. Also going on today, a Masons County point-in-time homeless count will take place. Tammy Newton, who's the Human Services Coordinator for the county, has trained volunteers for the count, and the volunteers will fan out around the county to conduct a count this morning. The Homelessness, Housing, and Assistance Act requires each county to conduct an annual point-in-time count of sheltered and unsheltered homeless persons here in the state, according to the Department of Commerce. The county is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development as well to conduct this count. So volunteer counters will cover 21 of known homeless camps around this county. As a part to get an effort to get an accurate count, we'll see the results in about 2 weeks. So be advised, if you're listening on your transistor radios and you're in one of said encampments, people will be getting close to your area, mucking around in your area. So just be cautious, be aware that that's what's happening, and they're there for a good cause. 7:41 here, iFIBER ONE News Radio, and 9 Washington community and tech colleges are on a big list, Carol.
Yeah, they've been named among the nation's top 150 community colleges by a prestigious Aspen Institute, and they're eligible to compete for a $1 million prize.
Wow.
The following colleges in Washington are Clark College, which is in Vancouver, Everett Community College, Highline College, Olympic College in Bremerton, and South Puget Sound Community College in Olympia.
Oh,
it's
good.
just some of the few.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome.
Every 2 years, the award, the prize is awarded.
Yep.
7:43 here at iFIBER ONE. See Mike Wittenberg out in the lobby. He'll be in just a moment here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE News Radio.
Taylor Shellfish is a proud sponsor of the Environmentally Sound program. For 5 generations, the Taylor family's been stewards of a healthy and prosperous Puget Sound. In partnership with nature, Taylor Shellfish brings you the freshest, most sustainable shellfish you'll ever eat. Visit their store at 136 Southeast Lynch Road. Open daily from 10 to 6. And they're online at TaylorShellfishFarms.com.
Are you still without a good health plan? No worries. Mason General Hospital can help you get covered before a medical need arises. Just go online and visit masongeneral.com and click on Washington Health Plan Finder on the homepage. There you can view and compare the various plans available. Mason General can help get signed up. All you do is click, compare, and call. Mason General Hospital's Project Supervisor, Susanna Lopez, at 432-7766.
Mason General Hospital and family of clinics. Equal opportunity provider. Translation services provided.
Mason General and family of clinics.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans.
When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE News Radio, 7:45 in the morning. We are happy to have contributor to iFIBER ONE News ONENewsRadio.com CPA Mike Wittenberg. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on. How are you guys this morning?
We're doing really well.
Doing good.
First off, thank you so much for your ongoing contributions to the website with some good information that people need to know. It's under the news tab, and then you head to accounting and tax news. That's where you find a lot of this information. And conversation we're going to have is that late last year, Congress finally passed some tax legislation named the Consolidated Appropriations Act. Good news for just about everyone. Is that right? Good news for everybody.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, I like that. Let's talk about some of the family and individual tax breaks or some of the things that were made permanent that really will help folks out.
Okay, yeah, I thought I'd just cover a few of the highlights this morning. And then, of course, if you want to go to the full read, you can go on the website, like Jeff was mentioning, and kind of read as much as you'd like to. So some of the keys, especially in Washington State, where we don't have an income tax, is that the sales and local tax deduction has been being permanent, actually. So now anybody in a state that doesn't have income tax can get the sales tax, and that sales tax would be baseline sales tax amount plus any major purchases, say a vehicle, say a home improvement, that sort of thing. So that's a wonderful break for those of us who don't have state income tax.
Is that usually kind of a bone of contention between the states that do have income tax and the states that don't?
Exactly, and that's why it happened. And and some states have both, of course. So in a state like California, where you have income and sales tax, the larger of the two is what you're allowed. So you get to choose.
Great. And so when we do our tax returns here, or we have someone work on our tax returns, like a CPA like yourself, the base number, that's kind of a calculation the state has come up with. They figure you're going to spend this much in sales tax, or?
Yeah, so it's essentially based on income and based on what the rate is in your jurisdiction. So say a Seattle resident would get a better deduction than, say, a Mason County resident, but it's pretty similar because the base rate of the state of Washington is the same. So you start with what is the rate in your locality, what is your income level overall, and then the feds through the table. It's a little bit complicated. Thank goodness we have software. Gets to do the math on what exactly that deduction is.
Great. That does sound like a really good one. What else are people going to be seeing maybe different or getting some continued breaks?
A couple other things to mention in particular. Continues, which essentially means you can move your IRA contribution if you're old enough, 7.5 years of age or older. You're required to take an RMD anyway. You're able to then move the money directly to the charity. So instead of reporting the income, making the charitable contribution, you get to streamline the contribution directly to the charity, which helps out in terms of keeps your AGI low, keeps your tax rate low. So it's kind of a way to benefit the charity, of course, but also give the break to the taxpayer making the contribution.
Oh, that is a nice little one they worked out. K-12 educators are getting a little deduction here, it looks like.
Yeah, and I sure wish that would expand someday. It keeps being at that measly $250, but the good news is that's a direct adjustment to income. It's not a thing you have to itemize. You don't have to put it on Schedule A and worry about all your other deductions. It's a direct write-off on page 1 of your 1040.
Very nice. Qualified conservation contribution breaks. What does that mean?
If you happen to be usually it's folks who have a little bit of extra real estate to manage, and they maybe have a piece of property that has some water on it, maybe something that has to be preserved. You can basically get a deduction for allowing that easement to happen on your property. So you can't use it for your own purposes, but you get a break for actually allowing it to be set aside.
Oh, so if you have a house with 50 acres, but you only use 10 of those, maybe you could do something with that?
Yeah, then you could say, gee, I'd like to set this aside. I don't want to put a road or a barn or whatever on it. I'll just set it aside for nature, for the future, and not develop it. So you get a bit of a break for that.
What are some other good ones?
I think one of the things, a couple of things, but one of the main things that continues is the education credit, the American Opportunity Tax Credit for those of us who have children at college age that we want to get some kind of a break for as we pay those large tuition bills. You're able to get the up to $2,500 credit, which is not a deduction, it's an actual credit. So, and part of it is refundable. So you could essentially have no tax liability and still get part of the refund back. But of course, there are AGI limitations. That you have to be under 80,000 for a single filer, 160 for a joint filer. But if you're below those thresholds, it's a nice benefit for when you pay tuition.
We've been talking a lot about personal tax breaks. What about business tax breaks that were made permanent that can help out some businesses around here, maybe?
Yeah. So one of the better ones, and this is kind of, most businesses are used to this, but the idea that you're able to take an accelerated depreciation deduction. And so folks who buy, businesses who buy equipment, new or used equipment, up to $500,000 can be written off in a one-time fashion. So quite a generous deduction for purchases.
Wow.
So, of course, what they're trying to do is say, we want people to buy, we want people to build their businesses up. So if you do that and you buy things that qualify, we're going to give you this deduction.
That is great for businesses looking to think. So many have been on the bubble. They're not sure what they want to do, and they don't have the funds to upgrade certain aspects of their business. This really does help that one.
Yeah, and a couple other ones that if you happen to have restaurant property, if you happen to have certain qualified retail space, you're eligible for a 15-year write-off on the improvements, which used to be where you had to have the improvements would be added to your basis, then you might or might not be able to depreciate, but it'd be over the life of the building, which is for commercial building 39-year life. So being allowed a 15-year write-off is much better.
Wow.
Also on this is I see credits for qualified solar, electric, and water heating property. So we heard a lot of talk from the PUD about people using that solar stuff.
Yeah.
Is that similar? Is this the same type of thing? If you are involved with that, installed in that, you're going to get some type of a
that's right.
adjustment?
So, that's right. So if you basically a 30% credit, once again, a credit, not a deduction, is allowed if you get qualifying property. So the typical example would be a solar panel or a solar powered heating system, those kinds of things for your residents. So the good news is actually you're allowed for your residence or a second property. Can't be, say, a rental property, but if you had a second home, for example, you'd be allowed that. Other things like wind power, geothermal are also on that list, but it's a pretty nice credit for those who buy or want to invest in renewable energy.
Tax information in this bill that was passed. Is this an annual thing where there's so many of these breaks within this, or was this kind of all the clouds seem to align in Washington and we got this done?
I would say it's probably a little more of the latter. There's certainly tweaks every year. This is pretty comprehensive, though. We haven't seen something like this come along for quite a while. To Congress, they started talking in the summer, of course, deliberating about what they might do. Trying to be proactive, and of course they fell short in getting it out. It didn't come out till the middle of December of last year. But the good news is a lot of these things are long-term changes. They're things that they quite a while. So of course, doing the budgeting to say how do we figure out what the cost of these breaks is an interesting calculation. So if you want to go on the government's website and actually see what all these benefits to you, the taxpayer, result in as far as cost to the government, that's something to analyze, but that's for another topic for another day, I think.
And let's wrap it up with healthcare talk. And this was kind of back and forth with the Affordable Care Act. One of the things that was kind of a bone of contention on the aisles there was this, what they called the Cadillac medical insurance tax. Also, there was the medical device tax that were both part of the Affordable Care Act. How have those been impacted with this?
Yeah, so in a nutshell, the ACA rules and the compliance is continuing. So from last year when we started with having to reconcile people's tax returns about how much, if they did partake in the exchange, we got to do the math about how much of a break did they get, how much of a break should they have gotten on their premiums. That continues. So that whole complication of if you're in the exchange and what that means on your tax returns is continuing, as well as some other ACA requirements. Most employers now have to verify that they've paid insurance on behalf of their employees. So now they'll get a document. So when you see that wonderful 1095 come in the mail, make sure you get it to myself.
Okay.
Preparing your tax return, because it'll mean something to us. And so the ACA, the overall ACA compliance is continuing in a pretty strong way. But a couple of things were waylaid. So in the tax law provision, I think this is kind of a compromise with all these breaks that happened, is that the ACA requirements for the medical device tax, which was going to be an excise tax, or it will be an excise tax on medical devices, has been set aside for a while. And so through 2017, that will not apply. So those in the medical professions, especially business owners who have a medical practice, are going to have to face that, but at least they have a little more time to get used to the idea.
Oh, okay.
The other thing that happened, the Cadillac medical insurance tax. So it's a significant tax on basically major medical plans that the government deemed outside of that essential coverage venue, which is kind of an interesting. Those are not going to be through 17. So after 17, that will probably be back on the plate.
When do you start getting a lot of phone calls about questions regarding this? Are people, now that you're here and then we're starting to move in the year 2016, people are starting to get their eyes on this stuff? We got our tax statements here from iFIBER One. So are you starting to see a ramp up in people calling and going, oh my gosh, were there a lot of changes? I heard there were a lot of changes.
Yeah, and it really depends on the year, but I would say usually people wait until they get things in the mail that they can't identify. They say, what in the heck is this new document? Or everybody's familiar with a W-2, probably a 1098 for their mortgage interest, but when you start getting ACA forms and you start getting things you've not seen before, that's kind of the, oh my God, what is this moment?
Right.
And yeah, I was starting to do my taxes, and I'm like, wait a minute, I have to have this 1095 healthcare form. What is that? So then I was looking it up, and obviously I haven't got it yet. So
right. And so people, they'll be getting these documents. Hopefully they were forewarned. Thankfully, a lot of the insurance providers are big enough and have enough manpower to get out the news in advance of the filing season. So they've been telling us, be looking for the 1095. And hopefully that's the case for most people, where they're not surprised by documents that just arrive in the mail with no forewarning. Usually they're going to be having a bit of a heads up about it, hopefully.
WittenbergCPA.com is the website. Mike Wittenberg here in studio with us, who is a CPA, and people can come to you for all their tax needs. What's the phone number, please? 426-0230 here in Shelton. And we do quite a bit more than tax work. We do business planning. We do accounting services, payroll, excise, all that. So consulting off season, not consulting during tax season, but quite a few services if you want to look up our website. Also the blog under the news tab and accounting and tax news. You can find more information on these and all the things that we've been talking about. Again, the website for Mike is WittenbergCPA.com. And if you start to see a lot of phone calls about a certain subject, like one thing is really stepping out there, please come back and we'll talk about those kind of issues, okay?
Sounds like a plan.
Thank you, Mike.
Appreciate it.
It is 7:58 here at iFIBER One News Radio, and we're going to jump to the Old Farmer's Almanac, and that'll take us right into 8 o'clock in ABC News here on Daybreak.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
There's plenty of winter left. Will your wood pile go the distance? Some time-tested firewood advice today from the Old Farmer's Almanac. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac radio report for Thursday, January 28th, the 28th day of the year. Actor Alan Alda celebrates his 80th birthday, and it's the 30th anniversary of the Challenger disaster. The space shuttle and 7 crew members were lost on this day in 1986. If you keep a stack of firewood, it may be time for a midwinter checkup. Here's some firewood advice from our Almanac archives. Don't stack a wood pile against a wooden building. Direct contact encourages rot. Stack your firewood bark side up so that it sheds water. And in the Almanac pages from 1887, look sharp after the wood pile. It's always best to have the wood sawn and split and piled up in time to get the advantage of the March winds to dry it. That's the Old Farmer's Almanac radio report. Find more seasonal advice and sign up for our free newsletter at almanac.com.
Mornings start with Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio. Join Jeff and Carol weekdays from 6 to 9 on AM 1030 and FM 1033, KMAS Shelton. The Chad Benson Show, live weekdays from 3 to 6 on iFIBER ONE Newsradio, AM 1030 and FM 1033, KMAS Shelton.
The virus was detected in the Americas, where it is now spreading explosively.
The WHO has convened an emergency meeting in Geneva. So-called affluenza teen Ethan Couch is flying to Mexico. From Mexico to Dallas at this hour to face probation violation charges. He was recently caught on camera apparently partying. ABC's Jim Ryan tells us what happens next.
At 18, Ethan Couch will be among the oldest offenders at the Juvenile Detention Center in Fort Worth. But very soon, the probation he received after a fatal DWI crash is to be transferred into the adult justice system, where the smallest slip-up could mean a quick trip to prison.
Organizers have removed Donald Trump's podium from the stage, but that hasn't stopped him from upstaging the debate by boycotting it. ABC's Aaron Katersky tells us rival Ted Cruz has challenged him to a one-on-one debate.
Donald Trump called Ted Cruz's debate invitation a desperate attempt to gain more publicity. In a letter, Cruz invited Trump to Western Iowa Tech in Sioux City this Saturday and said the venue's already reserved. Cruz supporters pledged more than $1 million to veterans charities if Trump accepts, but Trump called that dirty money. His campaign said there would be a one-on-one debate, and Cruz is the last man standing.
Hillary Clinton will get some help in her tight battle with Bernie Sanders in Iowa when former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords and husband astronaut Mark Kelly join her on the trail. The cancer cure moonshot is now on the launch pad. President Obama today signs a memo establishing the anti-cancer task force. Vice President Joe Biden, who heads mission control, holds the first meeting Monday. Facebook friends will soon have more ways to react to posts than just liking them. The social network is adding 6 new reaction emojis, including symbols for love, sad, and yay. This is ABC News.
QL1, this is Control. Does Rocket Mortgage require me to fill out a bunch of paperwork? That's negative, Control. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that quickly and seamlessly imports your financial data. You can go through the entire mortgage process on your own and completely online. Copy that, QL1, but if I wanted to speak to someone, do you think they're out there? They're out there, all right. I've made contact before. In fact, according to J.D. Power, they've provided award-winning client service for 6 years in a row. Roger that, QL1. It's nice to know they're out there, wherever they are. Detroit Control. They're in Detroit. Over. 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button. Get mortgage.
Rocket. Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Calgary Flames defenseman Dennis Weidman didn't even get a penalty after being caught on camera delivering a devastating blow to one of the refs on the ice. ABC's Ryan Burrow has the latest.
Dennis Weidman looks a little shaken up as well.
Sportsnet Canada cameras caught Dennis Weidman with a blindside cross-check to linesman Don Henderson.
And there's the collision with Don Henderson. He doesn't even see the linesman.
Weidman had just been hit hard and may have been woozy before delivering the blow. He says in his career he's never intentionally hit a linesman.
I went up to Donnie and I apologized to him on the ice. I didn't see him. I didn't know where to go.
He wasn't penalized, but may face discipline from the NHL. Ryan Burrow, ABC News.
The job market continues to grow stronger. The number of people applying for unemployment benefits fell 16,000 last week, a sign that employers aren't cutting jobs, even in response to global economic weakness and whiplash-inspiring stock market volatility. Analysts say when employers hold on to their employees, it's a sign of confidence in future economic growth. Karen Chase, ABC News.
Local news is brought to you by Fred Holmes Tree Service. FredHolmesTreeService.com, 427-4489.
From the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. A 17-year-old North Mason High School student was arrested on a charge of second-degree rape of a 14-year-old girl in the school parking lot. The alleged incident occurred during the high school's lunch hour late last Thursday, and authorities say the girl was told not to tell anyone. She did report it to a student counselor at the school immediately afterward, and the counselor called 911. The accused teen made an initial appearance yesterday afternoon in Mason County Superior Court and faces arraignment on the charges at a later date. The incident remains under investigation. The city's Director of Community and Economic Development proposed reductions to the Shelton City Commission after Mayor Gary Krantz requested them to spur economic development in the city. Steve Goins proposed a 30% reduction in building fees and a 55% reduction in water and sewer charges and traffic impact fees for new homes. While Commissioner Tracy Moore expressed concerns, both the mayor and Commissioner Kathy McDowell agreed to try the fee reduction stimulus for a year. The Mason County's point-in-time homeless count takes place today. Tammy Newton, Human Services Coordinator for Mason County, said they will fan out around the county to conduct the count. She says volunteer counters will cover 21 known homeless camps around the county as part of the effort to get an accurate count. Results are expected to be released in 2 weeks. The county is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to conduct the count. During Port of Call on Daybreak, Dick Taylor and John Dobson talked about how different the waterfront could look in the future with walking trails, viewpoints, and a walking connection from the marina to downtown Shelton.
The city is working on a park and ride, which is on the west side of the trestle. So as you make the right turn by Lumberman's to go out underneath the trestle, just before you get to the trestle, that pear orchard is going to be turned into a park and ride.
Already is a park and ride.
With restroom facilities there. And then they have a trail that does lead right over to the marina. So just as they cross underneath the railroad trestle, then that becomes our responsibility from that point on. And we have some conceptual ideas about running that trail out on over some of the new fill. That'll be part of the seagrass that's coming in, so people get a better chance to get out and see nature, and then that'll work its way right back over to the marina. So I think there's a nice natural connection there, and then of course the city will continue their trail back over to Front Street and then down Front.
The restoration plan is expected to take 3 to 5 years to complete. Learn more about the deconstruction of some buildings on Johns Prairie in the full interview on the Daybreak page at iFIBER1newsradio.com. For iFIBER One News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Alex Jones and InfoWars, weeknights 6 to 9 on iFIBER One News Radio.
And with Google Analytics and with Facebook behind it, they all met the same place Bilderberg met a few years ago. They met there a few years before that. They're north of London. This has all been public, where they get the students, everybody out the street, but then the radicals use that once they take over to coup d'etat the coup, and then now you have an Islamic State over Libya, over Saudi Arabia, which is already quarterbacking it, over Syria, over Egypt.
Some other car dealers only worry about selling you cars, often crippling you with interest rates that are through the roof. Not Whitney Chevrolet. Our finance guy is an expert at getting the finance you need at surprisingly low interest rates. Recently, we got a young lady without any credit history who had been turned down at other dealers at an extremely low interest rate. Now that's a big deal. Check out our inventory at whitneychev.com, then come in and see us.
A $150 negotiable document fee may be added to the price of all vehicles.
Just down the road to Whitney.
Well, good morning to you. It's Thursday here at iFIBER One News Radio, AM 1030 and FM 103.3. I'm Jeff Slakey taking a look at sports in a moment. First, though, Carol's here checking the weather.
It's about 53, and there's probably some rain out there.
Yeah, looked out the window. I see something. All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak. Freshman Timber Ware scored 8 points in the first 2 minutes of play as Shelton knocked off Mount Tahoma last night, 37-35. The T-Birds had a 6-point lead late in the second quarter, and second quarter until senior Vanessa Kennedy stepped up big time for the High Climbers, hitting back-to-back threes, tying the game at 22 at the half. Back and forth contest the rest of the way. But Shelton relied on steady defense to close out the victory. Here's head coach Aaron Leff on what it's going to take for the final stretch and his thoughts on making it into the playoffs.
Boy, I'll tell you what, it's going to be a rat race after this week. You know, we're tied right now with North Thurston. We're a game back from Mount Tahoma, even though we beat them twice, and I think we're 2 games back from Capital. All the teams that we play still have Lincoln and Wilson to play, and so we know they're going to probably pick up some losses there, but we just got to do our job. We got to go out, to play the best we can against Lincoln. We played pretty tough against them at home. If we can do that, maybe we get a couple extra buckets to fall, a little less turnovers, and we're right in the game.
Thank you to Sean Wells and Terry Allen being on the calls last night at iFIBER 1 at the Mini Dome on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.com. And thanks to Coach Leth for spending some time with Sean after the game. Also in sports, Seattle Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson has been selected in the first pick of the Pro Bowl. I heard there's a lot of people that aren't going to the Pro Bowl. The first 88 folks or so that were invited, like 30 of them said, nah, that's okay.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you'd go. But then again, maybe you played all season and you're like,
what's the point? Because then, everybody, the only reason you're going to the game is because your team didn't make the Super Bowl. Because nobody for the Denver Broncos and sure as heck fire Cam Newton is not going to start the Pro Bowl a week before the Super Bowl.
That's true. So why do they even do it?
That is one of the greatest questions.
Yeah, it's sort of a goofy thing.
That and what's the deal with the pyramids? We may never get to the bottom on these things.
I think we will.
Which one? Pro Bowl or pyramids?
Pyramids.
Sean Wells is going to be here in about 20 minutes or so to talk about this week in sports. He's going to be heading up to Lincoln tonight. The wrestling team is 6-0. The high climber wrestling team is also 6-0, so it's going to be a big matchup tonight, and Sean's going to have some previews for it here for us at 8:30 now, though it's time for weather with Carol.
Good morning. It's 50. Rain this morning, diminishing to a few showers this afternoon and evening. High today at 55. Tomorrow will be similar to today with rain early and then cloudy with showers. Saturday, we should see some sun, but we also might see some thunderstorms rolling through. Sunday, also chance of some sunshine, and right now it's 50.
Now, from the iFIBER ONE Newsradio studios, it's Daybreak. Providing local news, sports, weather, and interviews to the South's most important people. You. From business leaders to politicians, from activists for change to advocates for the poor, your neighbors and newsmakers are here on Daybreak.
No, what's going on with that?
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. We've got Focus on Shelton in just a little bit. Also, Sean Wells, our sports director, will be here to talk about the wrestling matchup tonight. The affluenza teen, he's back in the news. Jailers in Texas are preparing a cot for Ethan Couch, the so-called affluenza teen who fled to Mexico rather than face a probation officer. ABC's Jim Ryan is in Dallas, and he says the 18-year-old is expected in the U.S. mere hours from now.
As with nearly everything associated with Ethan Couch, nothing is guaranteed. The city was stunned when a judge gave Couch probation for killing 4 people in a DWI crash when he was 16. More recently, he skipped out on that probation, only to be found in Mexico with his mother. Tanya Couch was brought back in handcuffs, and today Ethan Couch may arrive in Texas as well. But no guarantees. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Thank you, Jim Ryan from ABC News. Back to Dallas. And so did I also hear in the news during the top of the hour that he would be in a juvenile center?
Yeah, I did hear something about he's going to be.
So 1, he's 18.
Yeah.
2, maybe the juvenile system is not where he needs to be right now.
Yeah, I think he should be.
If he's 18.
Yeah, he should be tried as an adult, definitely.
Or whatever. I mean, that's when he was drunk and killed those people, he was
right.
Underage. That's fine. But these charges are new charges, and he's 18 now.
Right.
And eluding, I think, is probably a pretty big one.
I would say so. He should not get off easy at all.
He better
Just
not.
because he, had money and was spoiled.
Oh, I have affluenza. You don't remember those affluenza movies from the mid-90s? We've already talked about this one.
I know.
Before,
I remember the brothers that killed their parents, and they were from, I thought, a wealthy family in Southern California.
The Menendez brothers.
Yes. Wasn't that one of the first ones that we heard about?
Yeah.
They just felt their parents were mistreating them or something.
They were twins. I do remember that.
Yeah. And then, so, I mean, it's funny to put a label on it. So then what do you do for poor people that act up? I mean, what label do you put on? I mean, it's just sort of ridiculous.
It is.
I have affluenza, so I don't have to pay the price.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Carol.
That's crazy. I mean, they have the money. They should pay the price.
Oh, here he is, Jim Ryan, with a little bit more on this.
At 18, Ethan Couch will be among the oldest offenders at the Juvenile Detention Center in Fort Worth. But very soon, the probation he received after a fatal DWI crash is to be transferred into the adult justice system, where the smallest slip-up could mean a quick trip to prison.
And there we go.
That makes us feel better, doesn't it?
That puts a nice little cap on this news story. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about an event that happened on this day back in the 80s. A very powerful turning point for
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER ONE Newsradio.
Are you tired of commuting to a job that makes someone else rich, working harder than ever, but getting nowhere? Do you hate spending hundreds of dollars every week on daycare, having your children? With our opportunities, you can start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss, work from home, and live a happier life. At Be the Boss Network, you'll find hundreds of work-from-home opportunities that you can literally start today and be earning money as soon as next week. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You get to be the boss. Get out of the rat race. Work from home. Go to freedom31.com right now and change your life today. That's freedom31.com. Go to freedom31.com and start earning money as soon as next week. You be the boss. Go to freedom31.com.
iFIBER ONE Newsradio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3 presents Daybreak.
Good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER ONE News Radio. Today marks the 30th anniversary of the explosion of the Space Shuttle Challenger, Carol. And more people are focusing on this. It happened on this day 30 years ago. And so you were just telling me that you watched this on...
Well, it was televised on TV.
So, okay. So this was still in a time when we were big into the space race. I mean, America was still into space and NASA and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So we saw all these. They made a point to launch all these at prime time or something like that. So
well, it was in the morning. It was in the morning when they launched it.
So you were at school. 86?
No, I was not in school. I was actually living in Sun Valley, Idaho at the time.
Oh, so you were out of school.
Oh, I was way out of school, yeah.
Okay.
And actually, I was outside doing something. It was in the morning, and right when it happened, I didn't see the exact moment, but my friend was inside watching, my roommate, when she was like, Carol, you got to come in here. And I ran in, and then they did a replay, and we're like, you know, it was sort of a hard thing to figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
Because it was just, I mean, it was televised all over. It was televised in schools because the teacher was on there.
Yeah.
So you didn't watch it in school.
Well, so I was 6 or 7 at the time, and I couldn't tell you if I was supposed to be in a grade at that point. 7 years old, am I in class?
Yeah.
Kindergarten or first or second or third?
Yeah, you should be in first grade or something.
So I don't remember watching that at Holy Family. I went to Holy Family, a little private school in Lacey, and we had like 8 kids in our class. We didn't have TVs. I don't remember that. We were busy working on our cursive. So the story here is that after this, the focus on NASA really kind of went away. People did not want to think about this tragedy, and rightly so. Every day. I mean, it was tragic, because I can imagine everybody early on in space flight, everybody knew Gus Grissom, everybody knew Buzz, everybody knew Neil Armstrong. I mean, these astronauts were celebrities.
Right.
And now we really are not focusing on NASA and space exploration in the same way. And I feel that this was a turning point for that.
Oh, yeah, it was totally a turning point. I mean, because safety was the big part of, or perceived safety of going into space. And then when a school teacher goes up and doesn't come down, then it's like this whole, problem that happens. But, I mean, I think that we should have not just turned away from it. We should have we should have paid attention to it.
Used that as a launch point for something better.
Yeah.
Because, we use those space shuttles over and over and over again.
Right.
And I don't think that's what blew up on the Challenger, but, those space shuttles, we've been using those for years.
Right, and I think those are done. Those are all retired
those
and
old
done.
ones?
Yeah.
I remember seeing those too.
Yeah, so now it's, all private, and I'm not sure. Well, they have the International Space Station is what they go up to, but as for us actually sending our own creating our own space station and we haven't really had that.
No, and we don't. I mean, Russians to get up there. 821, you're interested in more space travel. You want to get out there. We need to get off the planet. Is that where you're at these days?
I think it would be fun to be able to do that.
Have you seen that Interstellar movie?
Yeah, I did actually.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a lot different than I thought it was going to be, the ending especially.
The beginning.
It really gets a little out there.
The whole movie is like, it totally messes with your brain because you see all these old people and they're talking about the dust storm.
Right.
And so as soon as you see that, the first thing you think of is the Dust Bowl, like in the 20s. John Lithgow's in it too. He's a great actor. 821 iFIBER One News Radio. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll have more conversations about things that are happening around the Northwest, around the world. And Sean Wells with sports is coming up in about 12 minutes here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Hi guys, Kat here with iFIBER One News Radio. What if I told you that radio advertising is far more effective than print media? Think about all of your customers driving to work, appointments, or events, all the while listening to the radio. Imagine your commercial airs on iFIBER One News Radio and the customer decides, hey, I'm right by there. I'm going to go check it out. Radio captures you and literally speaks to you and your customers several times a day. This enables you to build a unique message that reminds your customers what you have to offer. Remember, your customers can either drive to you or through you. And here at iFIBER One News Radio, we want to direct customers to you. Being the only talk radio formatted station in the entire South Sound region, we have an entire new market for your business to advertise in. As your sales lady, I take pride in providing your business with the best advertising because I want your business to succeed. So call me today at 360-463-2558 and ask for Kat.
From the iFIBER One News Radio studios, you're listening to Daybreak.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here, iFIBER One News Radio. Jeff and Carol alongside. We do appreciate you when you start your mornings with us. There is lots of options out there. But we're the only live and local here in the Mason County area. Boy, I had a great time, Carol, the other day. When was it? Oh, it was yesterday when I was up in Belfair at the Feller Center for the North Mason Chamber Luncheon.
You didn't have to go up after the star, or did you?
No.
You got to introduce the star.
I got in and was able to speak my piece before Chief Deputy Ryan Sperling was up making a great presentation. You know, the other thing he talked about is kind of a fun. Statistics are fun, and you can pin statistics on anything. And
80%,
80%, whatever. And well, this is exactly what he said. He goes, in the last, in day period 60 to 30, meaning 60 days ago to 30 days ago, there was, 5 robberies in the North End. And then in the last 30 days, there was 4. But statistically, that's a 20% drop. So we were it was fun to hear him talk about those kind of things where these numbers will really get you. But all signs point to great it's almost been 2 years that North Mason precinct office has been open with Sperling up there. And he's got a group of guys and gals that'll travel around in the North End. They got their different zones. And one of the other things that he mentioned, and you've probably seen them here, the city does it. What he mentioned was that the sheriff, Casey Salisbury, found this from another sheriff who would put little, the do not disturb or maid service signs you put on hotel doors. It's like that, but it's a courtesy check. Have you seen those on our doors here ever? A couple times. When the police walk around, they check the doors to make sure everything's locked. And what happened was that nobody realized that this was going on because often in the middle of the night. So Casey found another sheriff somewhere else that came up with the plan to put these little door hangs on everybody's door saying, hey, we stopped by, just letting you know everything looks good. And people seemed very positive to that. I mean, why wouldn't you? So it was a really good conversation. The food was good too. And saw a ton of folks. It was really nice to talk about the 103.3 FM. We've been challenged over the last 50 years to make it into the north part of the county and break that perceived Mason-Dixon line. You know, you're heading on Highway 3 and you get to the bridge right by North Mason High School, and that's, kind of the Mason-Dixon line, they call it. So the fact that our 103.3 now booms in there, I was talking about it being a great way to put the two parts of the county back together. So I had a nice conversation with folks. Seth Elson from the Salmon Center and Joel Meyer from PUD3, Beth Gizzy from the Salmon Center. She's been in as well before. So it was a good time. Thank you to the North Mason Chamber of Commerce for putting up with me for a couple of minutes.
I'll say. Didn't boot you out.
Carol's like, couple minutes, man. You got hours with this guy. 8:26 here at iFIBER One. Sean Wells is in studio, and he'll be talking with us in just a few moments. Also, some of the news notes that we are also looking at is continuing on this Zika virus thing, or Zika virus?
I'm saying Zika. Okay. I'm not quite sure where they even got that name from.
Do you have any estimates of how many cases of this could show up around here?
Well, right now they're estimating about 3 million to 4 million cases.
What?
In like a 12-month period in the Americas is what they call it.
What is the Americas?
Well, South America, Central America, and then up to North America.
So the Western Hemisphere. Like all of us.
Yeah.
Except for Canada, because it's too cold up there.
Yeah, except for Canada, because it's too cold. So
chilly.
So head to the mountains, I suppose. I don't know.
Wow. Why is this all of the sudden? Is this all of the sudden getting so much work looked at because of the Olympics in Rio this summer?
No, I think it's because they're noticing a lot more cases of the disease or the infection happening. Because before there was just, hardly any that they were seeing, and now they're seeing quite a few, and they think it might be related to the infant issue with the smaller brain being born, but the lack of immunity is the big thing, and the fact that mosquitoes are spreading it, and mosquitoes can be found anywhere, and that explains the speed of the whole disease.
What's going on, man? Well, obviously everybody's going to keep eyes on this. Right now, though, we need to find out what's happening on Wall Street. And good morning.
Good morning.
Karen Shade from Edward Jones on Olympic Highway South.
Yes, how are y'all?
We're doing really well. How are you doing?
A little soggy out there.
You ain't kidding, it's soggy.
Oh, my goodness. Where there was never water on the roadways, there was this morning.
We were talking about that on the way in, and I was mentioning that if you're heading from Shelton towards Olympia, just past the Little Creek Casino, up that hill on the fast lane, it is awful.
Oh, yeah.
Hydroplaning all over the place.
Yes, I did that a couple times.
Yeah, you just got to be careful out there.
You do. Don't do cruise control. There's your tip of the day.
That is a good tip of the day. How's Wall Street?
Well, U.S. stocks have pulled back from early gains, resisting a rise in oil prices and extending their losses for the week. In economic news, demand for U.S. durable goods declined by 5.1% in December, the latest signal that the U.S. manufacturing sector continues to struggle. In earnings news, Facebook and Caterpillar both reported fourth quarter earnings above expectations, and bond prices are little changed this morning. So far this morning in the S&P 500, the best performing sector is energy, while the worst performing sector is healthcare. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 45 points at 15,989. The Standard & Poor's 500 Index is up 1 point at 1,881, and the NASDAQ Composite Index is up 37 points at 4,505. This morning volume on the New York Stock Exchange is high, with about 319 million shares being traded, and advancers are outnumbering decliners by roughly. In the commodity markets, the spot price of gold is down $8.85 to $1,116.11, and the spot price of silver is down 22 cents to $14.26, and crude oil prices are up 71 cents to $33 and a penny. In the bond markets, the 30-year Treasury yield is currently 2.80%, and the 10-year Treasury yield is 2%. Stocks of local interest: Amazon is up $28.47. Costco is up $1.21. Boeing is down $1.36. Starbucks is down up 67 cents, and Microsoft is up 47 cents. This is Karen Shade of Edward Jones, member SIPC, serving individual investors with personalized attention and long-term financial advice. I'm located at 1051 Southeast State Route 3 in Shelton, and if you'd like additional information, you can contact me at 426-4590, and daily commentary is also located on our website at edwardjones.com.
All right, Karen. Well, thank you much, and have a great rest of your day.
You too.
It's 8:31 now at iFIBER ONE News Radio, and the latest in local news is forthcoming, brought to you right now by Shelton Health and Rehabilitation.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. A 17-year-old North Mason High School student was arrested on a charge of second-degree rape of a 14-year-old girl in the school parking lot. The alleged incident occurred during the high school's lunch hour late last Thursday, and authorities say the girl was told not to tell anyone. She did report it to a student counselor at the school immediately afterward, and the counselor called 911. The accused teen made an initial appearance yesterday afternoon in Mason County Superior Court and faces arraignment on the charges at a later date. The incident remains under investigation. The city's Director of Community and Economic Development proposed reductions to the Shelton City Commission after Mayor Gary Krantz requested them to spur economic development in the city. Steve Goins proposed a 30% reduction in building fees and a 55% reduction in water and sewer charges and traffic impact fees for new homes. While Commissioner Tracy Moore expressed concerns, both the mayor and Commissioner Kathy McDowell agreed to try the fee reduction stimulus for a year. The Mason County's point-in-time homeless count takes place today. Tammy Newton, Human Services Coordinator for Mason County, volunteer counters will cover 21 known homeless camps around the county as part of the effort to get an accurate count. Results are expected to be released in 2 weeks. The county is required by the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development to conduct the count. During Port of Call on Daybreak, Dick Taylor and John Dobson talked about how different the waterfront could look in the future with walking trails, viewpoints, and a walking connection from the marina to downtown Shelton.
The city is working on a park and ride, which is on the west side of the trestle. So as you make the right turn by Lumberman's to go out underneath the trestle, just before you get to the trestle, that pear orchard is going to be turned into a park and ride.
Already is a park and ride.
With restroom facilities there. And then they have a trail that does lead right over to the marina. So just as they cross underneath the railroad trestle, then that becomes our responsibility from that point on. And we have some conceptual ideas about running that trail out on over some of the new fill. That'll be part of the seagrass that's coming in, so people get a better chance to get out and see nature, and then that'll work its way right back over to the marina. So I think there's a nice natural connection there, and then of course the city will continue their trail back over to Front Street and then down Front.
The restoration plan is expected to take 3 to 5 years to complete. Learn more about the deconstruction of some buildings on Johns Prairie in the full interview on the Daybreak page at iFIBER1newsradio.com. For iFIBER ONE News Radio, 1030 KMAS and FM 103.3, I'm Mary Lynn Foster.
Arch Mechanical. Our name begins with affordable. Affordable refrigeration, cooling, and heating. Whether residential, commercial, or food service equipment, your satisfaction is of utmost importance. And with over 30 years of experience, Arch Mechanical Service is backed by a 30-day labor guarantee. Serving South and West Puget Sound, there is no need to pay for one of those big city technicians. Call 360-229-2139. Arch Mechanical. Our name begins with affordable.
All right, good morning to you. It is Daybreak here at iFIBER One News Radio and iFIBER1newsradio.com. We've got sports now, and Carol's going to give us an updated forecast of the weather in just a few moments. Morning, Sean. Win last night for the High Climbers.
A huge win, yeah. 37-35, knocking off Mount Tahoma. And, they were down by 6 late in the second quarter, and senior Vanessa Kennedy hit back-to-back threes and really sparked the team into the second half. So the game was tied up at 22 at halftime, and then they just took control in the second half, just played solid defense, nothing too flashy, but got the job done, got the win, 37-35, and a big one in the standings as they're hoping to try to make one of those last spots in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's what you were, Coach Leth was talking about in your interview with him, and he feels the team is poised well to move into the playoffs.
Yeah, they have to have a few things fall their way. As Leth mentioned in that interview, a couple teams just above them still have to play some of the top dogs in Lincoln and Wilson. So they could drop a game back. And so Shelton's looking to pick up a game or two here this last week and sneak in. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. And 2 home games next week. You won't want to miss those. And those have been changed from Wednesday, Friday now to Tuesday, Thursday.
Oh, okay.
Because it sounds like there will be a playoff game next Saturday. So they want a day's rest between that Thursday and Saturday game.
All right. Well, we will definitely cover the High Climber basketball games throughout the rest of the regular season and beyond, to allow for these more popular playoff games. We definitely will do that, and that's kind of one of the things that's happening tonight up in Tacoma.
Yeah, a huge wrestling meet tonight in Tacoma. Shelton on the road at Lincoln. Both teams are 6-0 in conference in dual meets. So the winner of this match is your conference champion.
Wow.
And last time Shelton won a conference championship in wrestling was 1975. That's when they were part of the Black Hills Conference. So looking to make some history tonight in what could possibly be the last Narrows League Conference championship, as they may be disbanded after this season. We're still in wait-and-see mode for that.
Last week you were in to kind of start to explain this process. It had been traditionally the schools every 2 years were able to reevaluate where they were in league and how their league opponents shape up, but it has changed now to a 4-year process. So there's a lot of potential movement going on. A lot of the schools, a lot of the athletic directors are looking at to where to best position themselves and their schools basically 4 years down the line. And this has started to really bring up a lot of controversy within players and families and parents and school districts and things.
Yeah, as you mentioned, a change from a 2-year cycle to a 4-year cycle. So ADs want to make sure their school is in the right conference for the long term. And yeah, this has brought up a lot of change this year, more than usual, as quite a few teams, over 20, have jumped up to 4A. And then we've had some jump down to 3A, like Timberline High School and Yelm. So as of now, we have 15 schools applying to join the SPSL 3A League. And one of those schools is Shelton. They had a hearing yesterday, and that decision was supposed to be made in the next couple of days, but they actually just postponed that, and they want all ADs to come together and make a decision by next week to decide, are we going to have one conference with 15 teams split up in 2 divisions, or are we going to keep the Narrows League and keep the SPSL separate? So a lot riding on what these ADs decide and think is best for their teams.
It seems to me, sorry for interrupting, that the ADs seem to be doing more for what's best for the teams proper versus the players and the parents in some of these cases. I was reading on Facebook some concerned parents from Capital High School who petitioned to get into the Greater St. Helens League. Is that right?
That's right. Yeah, they petitioned, and
regardless of the outcome, though, their teams, the locality of the teams they would be playing, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday, for some of these teams, the closest people would be Kelso Longview or Vancouver even.
Yeah, and that's a tough drive. That's what these parents are upset about. This is, Tuesday nights, Wednesday nights, when you have these games and you're driving down to Vancouver, it could take away quite a bit of time for these kids for studying, focusing on academics.
Sure.
So parents are upset, but there is a chance that Capital could still join the SPSL or the Narrows League. Because there is 15 teams, so it would be nice if they had that 16th team.
Yeah.
So 8 teams in each conference to make things even. So they're going to have to really think this one through this next week and decide if they wanted to keep and join with the more local area or decide to go off on their own and head down and join the Greater St. Helens.
I mean, we were talking about this yesterday, and it would be so nice to see a Mason, Thurston, maybe South Pierce County sort of rivalry being able to be put forth. If you have to go to Vancouver, a lot of folks are not going to be invested in what Vancouver sports are up to. But you'd have a good working knowledge of, if we're Shelton and we play Olympia, Capital, Timberline, North Thurston, all these schools right in the same area, to kind of pay attention to what these other schools are doing, to build more people in the stands watching these games. Do you think that this message on Facebook, this outspoken message about what are we doing, is going to be a helpful thing for all the schools involved as the ADs or the superintendents maybe now looking back and going, whoa, there's a lot of additional consequences we may not have thought of?
Well, yeah, one of the best things about high school sports is those rivalries that you build up through the years. And, you have friends maybe on the different high school team or family members, and you build up these relationships with different coaches, friends, teachers, schools. And so if you're just changing conferences to a league that, say the Greater St. Helens League, that you don't have a history with, it's going to bring about some change that maybe is going to take a few years to get accustomed to.
Sure.
And you're going to lose all that history that you had here in this Thurston and Mason County.
One of the biggest games in football, and you'll find this out as you'll be part of our football coverage now moving forward, right? This will be your first year doing football. One of the biggest games is the Spaghetti Bowl. Every year for the last, 50,000 years, they've been doing the Spaghetti Bowl, Olympia, Capital. And now they've got the Pioneer Bowl, Tumwater, Black Hills. And people love this stuff. You don't see a draw for a Tumwater, Kelso, or a Shelton, Bellingham. There's just not the desire, I don't think, to see these other teams you want to see. Because you do. You go to school with these people, and oftentimes you're in elementary school together, and one person will go to, in North Thurston, for example, Timberline, one person will go to North Thurston, and now you got a rivalry. And it's fun. This seems like it's more the business
political.
The politics of sport athletic directing. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
That's why I think it's a good move by these parents of these Capital students and athletes saying, hey, we want our word in there. We don't exactly agree with moving down there. We'd like to stay home.
Yeah.
And so we'll see if their voice was heard, and we'll see what happens this next week. It's going to be a really interesting how this quote unquote overtime period works out here with these ADs as they make their final decision.
Well, this has been a great story, and we thank you for following it. It has got a lot of moving parts, but hopefully we'll get to some sort of conclusion. I mean, it's 100 miles from Olympia to Vancouver. So you're driving 100. I didn't even think about midweek sporting events. I was only focused yesterday on the football Friday nights, where you could go, well, I mean, it's the weekend. But if you have to go to school the next day, you've been driving 2 hours. Woof. So you're going to be in Lincoln tonight.
Lincoln tonight, yeah. And just want to quick mention, Tuesday night I was up in North Mason.
Yeah.
Boys basketball game versus Squim, and they put out a huge victory over. Got their first conference victory of this season, so it was nice to see them still fighting, even though they're out of playoff contention. But a big victory for them to keep morale up as they go into next season. A sophomore for them, Trey Fisher, led all scores with 21 points. Just had a big time game. Really took control late, so it was good to see the Bulldogs get a big victory.
Good work, Sean. We thank you so much for being here and talking with us. We'll see you next Thursday. right at this time to update things as well. It's 8:43 right now, and we're going to focus on Shelton in just a moment. City Engineer Mike Michael is in the lobby. He'll be coming up next here on Daybreak.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Put high rates on the chopping block. We're cooking up a deal at our community credit union with 1% cash back and no payments for 90 days. If you have an auto, boat, RV, personal, or any other type of consumer loan, feast on this. For a limited time, we'll treat you to 1% cash back instantly when you move your loan to our community credit union. Don't wait. Apply online at ourcu.com or visit a branch location: Shelton, Union, McClary, Elma, Montesano, or Vashon.
Hi, this is Terry Allen with a look at the community calendar on iFIBER One News Radio. Nonprofits post your events on iFIBER1newsradio.com. The Mason County Housing Authority Board meets the first Wednesday of each month at 9 a.m. The meetings take place in the County Commission Chambers, 411 North 5th Street in Shelton. Call 360-427-9670, extension 419. For iFIBER One News Radio, I'm Terry Allen.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio, KMAS.
All right, good morning to you. It is a Daybreak on Thursday, and we focus on Shelton these days at this time, brought to you by our community credit union. We thank them for that. City Engineer Mike Michael is in studio right now. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, folks. What's happening?
Happy New Year.
You too.
Rain's happening.
Rain's happening, that's right.
You just walked down here from the...
I did.
It's raining?
It was raining.
Didn't melt.
Good to know.
Didn't melt.
So it's raining, but construction is still ongoing with Lake Boulevard and all that stuff?
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of questions about it. When's it going to open up? When are we going to be done? The contractor first part of the year did do some shift in their schedule, working with us, and we're moving right along. They've changed their focus to the utilities. They expect that work to be done. Last contract or schedule update I got yesterday, in fact, from our project management team, indicate that by mid-March they should be done with all the utility work. And then it's just a matter of getting the weather windows to get moving on the pavement and the road bed work. So we're still very, I don't want to say hopeful, but we're very optimistic that it's going to be a late spring, early summer finish to this job. Probably won't be done before school's out.
Okay.
But they're working on it. Contractor and my team have been working real close with the school district and others to keep things moving up there. Just a reminder to for the duration at this point. Local access, of course, is available, emergency access, all of that kind of stuff. So if you don't need to be there, find another way around.
So when we're looking at the weather like this and we're thinking about some weather windows for asphalt, what are you looking for in the forecast?
Yesterday's weather obviously is not part of it.
Sure.
A little bit of rain in the early stages of the pavement work when they're setting the new gravel and the grades and all of that kind of stuff actually can be kind of a benefit because they need some moisture in that dirt to compact it right.
Oh, okay.
So if it's a little damp, that helps. They don't have to bring in so much water. Up through about the first lift of asphalt. Once that first lift of asphalt is down, then it has to be dry to get what we call a tack coat. It's basically an asphalt emulsion that goes between the layers of asphalt. It has to be dry for that stuff to be applied to put the second layer of asphalt on. So we'll be looking at drier weather for that. Other than a few days here and there, the weather we've had has been reasonably conducive for the early stages of the road work.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
So, again, that's part of the reason they shifted their schedule, been focusing on utilities. Most of that is less weather dependent than some of the pavement work, so they're able to keep moving over the winter and actually make progress where probably we would have had to give them rain days for work that they couldn't do in the weather that we've had. So
I was just driving home back up Highway 3 past the entrance to the city at that overlook place, and there's some construction going on there. That has to do with those LED lights?
That's correct. That's those LED reader boards that are the PUD and the city and others are partnering on as an alternative to the old event banners. Event banners have been a little bit of an issue over time, trying to get them up and coordinate who gets what and when. With the LED reader boards, we'll be able to put more information up more frequently and provide that same service to the community in a little bit better, more efficient way.
Okay.
How big are those going to be?
I don't remember. That would be a good question for Mark the next time he's on. He's kind of been the spearhead.
So you're driving and you can see them well enough that you don't have to slow down and try to squint and find out what's going on.
Yeah, you should be able to see them pretty well. And part of the reason the south one was picked the location was that if somebody does want to stop and take a look at it and really focus on it, it's right there at the pull out for Overlook Park. Anyhow, they'll be able to pull in there, see what's on the message boards, and then get back on traffic and keep going at that point. So
we're going to have like totally new technology and then the totally old round welcome to Shelton.
Yeah, the big piece of wood.
Yeah, and the structure that they've designed to mount that in is kind of a mix of that.
Cool.
The structure itself is going to look like the old structures that the log monument and stuff are in, but then you'll have the new technology embedded inside of that. So
is it a multi-colored display or is it just red?
I believe it is white only. Again, that would be a question for Mark, but I believe it is a single. Believe it is a single color, as I recall.
I guess we'll have to wait.
That'd be fun to see. Yeah. What else is going on in the city? Anything else?
Not much. We're still working through those utility projects. Sewer stuff's pretty well done. Working on the water projects. The last phase of that new pressure zone on the north end of town is wrapping up design right now. We're hoping to have the design done on it probably within the next couple months and be looking to move that forward to construction. So just kind of plugging away at the projects that are on the books. We'll be doing design this summer, probably not construction until next year, on a pedestrian improvement in the area around Evergreen School. We talked probably some time ago about a grant that we received for the Safe Routes to School program for that area. And so that's finally in the works. We're finally getting to the point where we can get the money obligated and start working on that. We expect to do design this year and construction probably next year, the way things will work out. So.
Well, good. I like to see the construction around here. Means up and up and up and up and up for the city.
We're trying.
City Engineer Mike Michael, thank you so much for coming in. Great to see you.
Hey, you too. It's been a while. I'll have to make sure I get back a little bit more frequently.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
All right, thanks.
It's 8:51 now at iFIBER One News Radio. We'll take a quick break and hear from the Old Farmer's Almanac here on Daybreak and get things ready to wrap up on a Thursday, just about 9 o'clock on iFIBER One News Radio.
Listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
There's plenty of winter left. Will your wood pile go the distance? Some time-tested firewood advice today from the Old Farmer's Almanac. With more practical tips and useful advice, this is the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report for Thursday, January 28th, the 28th day of the year. Actor Alan Alda celebrates his 80th birthday, and it's the 30th anniversary of the Challenger disaster. The space shuttle and 7 crew members were lost on this day in 1986. If you keep a stack of firewood, it may be time for a midwinter checkup. Here's some firewood advice from our Almanac archives. Don't stack a wood pile against a wooden building. Direct contact encourages rot. Stack your firewood bark side up so that it sheds water. And in the Almanac pages from 1887, look sharp after the wood pile. It's always best to have the wood sawn and split and piled up in time to get the advantage of the March winds to dry it. That's the Old Farmer's Almanac Radio Report. Find more seasonal advice and sign up for our free newsletter at almanac.com.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
.853 here at iFIBER One News Radio, and we're looking at some of the news from around the Northwest. And let's see, the top text, I guess, on the front page of the Huffington Post right now, quote, spreading explosively. That's that Zika virus we've been talking about all morning. Amazing how it's all become quickly has become all part of our consciousness here. 8:54 at iFIBER One News Radio. We've got a great rest of your day for you here on the radio. Coming up, Tom Hartman and then Dave Ramsey after that. Chad Benson at 3 until 5:40 when we'll jump over to Gonzaga basketball. Gonzaga is going to be on the radio tonight after Gonzaga basketball. Alex Jones till 10. And then Overnight America with John Grayson provides you with the latest looks at news from around the country and the world. All live news back until we start tomorrow morning at 6. Carol, an update for us on this Elma thing?
Well, we don't have any new news. They're working on it. It's obviously daylight now, so they're assessing it, and they're trying to clear the roadway as soon as possible. And as soon as we get that information, we'll post it on our Facebook page and our Twitter page to let you know if traffic will be flowing. I haven't gotten any new dates.
Should kind of look on that image there that is from the WSDOT Facebook page there. It does look like there may be some sort of a way around there.
Oh yeah, they have detours around it, definitely.
Okay.
So you're just not going to get wherever you're going as fast. So just have to, like the boulevard, you just have to take a detour. Plan out your route.
Plan your routes. It's 8:55 now. Coming up tomorrow, we'll have Dr. Alex Apostle on the radio at 8:15 with our weekly conversations with him. We'll continue on throughout the weekend with more great programming tomorrow night on iFiber1newsradio.com. Sean Wells will have the calls on a Shelton High School boys basketball game. Also tomorrow at 8:45, we're going to start the process. Carol and I are going to buy a home together. We're going to start the process. We're not buying a home together?
No.
You're buying a home.
It's hard to say.
Thinking about it.
It's hard to say what's
we
going to
need
happen.
to know the process of buying a home.
We're going to have somebody come in and talk about what's going on in the real estate industry, and we'll see if we can learn to buy a home from her.
I tell you what, John L. Scott, Radio Real Estate, and Don Pinnell, those folks over there at John L. Scott here in Shelton do great work, and they're very friendly to work with you on a very complicated subject, being home ownership. I can't buy a house with you, Carol. I already have one.
Yes, you do.
8:57 at iFIBER One News Radio. Next week, we've got Lynn Longan coming in on a Monday. Dan Griffey will be for his weekly visit on Tuesday. Carrie Lemon in from United Way to talk about some upcoming things they're doing. And then Don Miner coming in talking Polar Bear Plunge. It's on the way. This February 6th, the day before the Super Bowl. It's going to be, it's a big day. So we got the plunge at the Alderbrook. And there's a big debate that we'll have on the radio. And then after the debate, we'll have a Gonzaga basketball game. And then the next day, Super Bowl Sunday, we have got probably no fewer than 10 hours of intense Super Bowl coverage. So we'll talk all about Super Bowl party planning next week. That's what's on the.
You're going to bring in some food ideas.
I could bring in. I could actually bring in food now that we've got the cameras going.
Maybe you should. We could have breakfast at work.
We could do Slake's Bakes again on the video.
Exactly. You could bake right here. We could get a little
skillet or something.
Yeah.
8:58 here at iFIBER One. That puts a wraps on the show here today. Thank you so much for being with us. We'll be back tomorrow at 6 in the morning, and Tom Hartman's coming up next.
You're listening to Daybreak on iFIBER One News Radio.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Tobert, your advertising consultant from iFIBER One News Radio. Are you missing customers because you only market to a specific group? iFIBER One News Radio can help you hit a larger group of buyers with our diverse audience.
We are 24 hours of local and national breaking news, award-winning talk radio, and primetime sports, including local high school sports. What does this mean to you? This means our listeners listen longer to entire programs and don't switch to another station when a commercial comes on. Our coverage in the Puget Sound area hits over 500,000 listeners, including Mason County, Thurston County, Grace Harbor County, King, Pierce, Joint Base Lewis McCourt, and Kitsap County to the Bremerton Naval Base. All advertising is 100% tax deductible. So how can you afford not to advertise? Call me, Mark Tobert, at iFIBER ONE News Radio to become a total audience plan advertiser. Just call 360-426-1030.
The craziness is returning to the kennel.
Wiltshire behind his back with a dribble, and he scores. Seth Kornowski to his left, pulls up, shoots, scores, and a foul.
Zags basketball from IMG.
Corner, Nelson driving baseline, and a two-handed throw down thumb. Oh my goodness, Silas Nelson.
From tip-off to the final buzzer.
And throws it down with two hands.
Follow the action all season long on your home for Bulldogs basketball, the Gonzaga IMG Sports Network.
Tom Hartman is live and waiting your call weekdays from 9 to noon on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030, FM 1033, KMAS Shelton. Dave Ramsey helps you handle your money weekdays from noon to 3 on iFIBER ONE News Radio, AM 1030, FM 1033, KMAS Shelton.
Here's the latest from ABC News. I'm Daria Albinger. It is one night where Donald Trump will not be able to attack, nor will he be able to respond to attacks from his rivals, at least not directly. He's skipping the Republican presidential debate.
Donald Trump has said he'll counter the Republican debate here with a fundraiser for veterans, but little is known about the event. The venue at Drake University took time to secure. The charities Trump has said would benefit are unknown. We're told, but they never spoke. We're told Ailes also reached out to members of Trump's family, but it's unclear there was ever a conversation.
ABC's Aaron Katersky in Des Moines, Iowa. A new chapter could begin today in the story of Ethan Couch. He's a so-called affluenza teen from Texas who was sentenced to probation for killing 4 people in a DWI crash when he was 16 and then violated that probation and skipped to Mexico.
At 18, Ethan Couch will be among the oldest offenders at the Juvenile Detention Center in Fort Worth. But very soon, the probation crash is to be transferred into the adult justice system, where the smallest slip-up could mean a quick trip to prison.
ABC's Jim Ryan in Dallas. That ticket service that you used to get seats to the big concert or game may have been convenient, but it probably wasn't a bargain. A 3-year investigation into the industry by ABC News finds most tickets cost more than they should, and the average fan has almost no chance of a buy at face value.
Judith A. Resnick.
It was 3 years ago today that the Space Shuttle Challenger exploded just after liftoff. NASA held an emotional event today to remember and celebrate the 7 crew members who were killed, the other astronauts who lost their lives. It may be harder to find a Walmart. The retailer is closing more than 100 stores starting today. Stocks are mixed so far. The Dow is down 59 points, but the NASDAQ is up 6. This is ABC News.
Control, do you like mortgages? Negative, over. Do you like rockets? Affirmative, over. Do you like rocket mortgages? I'm listening, over. Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that turns the entire mortgage process into a fast, powerful, completely online experience. Copy that, QL1. I'm going to go ahead and push this button in 3, 2, 1. Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 33.
There's a reason why so many celebrities use Proactive. Their faces are their money. And it's time for you to get it because Proactive has set up a special 800 number. For just $19.95, you'll get Proactive and a rotating deep cleansing brush. A $45 value, yours free. For only $19.95, you're guaranteed to get clear and stay clear or your money back. Here's the number, 1-800-644-5944. Call now for a lifetime of beautiful skin. 1-800-644-5944.
From the iFIBER ONE News Radio studios, I'm Mary Lynn Foster. A 17-year-old North Mason High School student was arrested on a charge of second-degree rape of a 14-year-old